Jet plane headed up to the sky. Spread wings and the clouds getting high. We ain't hit a rave in a while.
Sounds of the surf.
So take me back to London.
I do deals but I never get twanged. Moves that ain't never been planned. No goons that were never in gangs. Where I'm from, chat shit get banged. Where I'm from, chat shit, let the 12 gauge drip. Yeah, sick how it fits in my hand. I don't mix with the glitz and the glam. All these stupid pricks on the gram. I don't do online beef or Nike gram beef. I'm way too G'd up to beef for gram neek. I bought an AP to help me time keep my shooter ride deep. He moves when I speed my shooter ride. He shoot a guy, leave you wet like you scuba dive. We were younger then and now we're unified. South London boys get you crucified, I'm gone.
It's that time, Big Mike and Teddy are on grind. I wanna try new things, they just want me to sing because nobody thinks I write rhymes. But now I'm back in the biz and my guy, give me a packet of crisps and my pint. I hit my friends up, go straight to the pub cause I haven't been home in time. Yes, but that's my fault. Gross $500 million on the divide tour. Yes, I ain't kidding, what would I lie for? But now I'm back on the track with Big Michael. He said
Teddy, never get off your high horse and never let him take your crown.
I've been away for a while, traveled a million miles, but I'm heading back to London town right now. Jet plane headed up to the sky. Spread wings and the clouds getting high. We ain't hit a rave in a while. So take me back to London. Bass high, middle night, sitting low. Sweat brow dripping down when in Rome. No town does it quite like my home. So take me back to
Birmingham, 0121, stand up. You better tell them the hooligans here. My team can't lose when I'm here. Outside quick twos and a beer. You see me when I choose to appear. Just paid a few bags for my carpet. Blood, take off your shoes when you rear. Yo, I can turn booze into cheers. Triptronic man, cruise for the gears. Rep blues when I'm here, it's Brom. Family, you dumb. Red wine, or you want a red rum. You can be 40, you don't wanna war me. End of story, you gonna get spun. Man, smoke weed till my whole head's numb. Don't talk queens cause I won't take none. VIP in my own section. Wild West with the old Western, it's Brom.
Old school raving, back to Scala. In an AP pack with Gala, take me back to Manor. Blocks out, roll full of yak and maggot. And an S3 boot full of packs of Cala. Hit the booth, man, snap it, bap, that's that trap, rap to map it. Some man are blessed, I'm a bad and trap it. Gets cold up north, pack your hat and track it. Man was made to set pace, young H, I came for first place. Made a change to get paid, fam I stayed in my lane and came with that flame. Day to day we on stage, make my cake then I skate and catch the next plane. Baking up when I wake, rake it up, get it saved, it's make it or break.
It's make it or break, human man still make a mistake. Mad now H just made a mixtape.
Told JK to make a next 8, we're about to set pace. Can't get about no more, it gets bait.
And I don't get head no more, I get face.
She don't want him no more, she wants J.
And she don't want me no more, she wants H.
Aye.
JK make a lot of P. Go straight there if it's where I gotta be.
Wait, stop, pop my collar, I'm a G. 5 million minimum, what I wanna see.
And anything I wanna put that to bed. Tell Mumsy that I wanna trap with Ed. Aim this one at your head.
Right bars with a pen on the pad when the battery's dead.
jet plane headed up to the sky.
Oh, and sit,
Spread wings and the clouds getting high.
Oh, and 2.
We ain't hit a rave in a while. So take me back to London. Bass high, middle night, sitting low. Sweat brow dripping down when in Rome. No town does it quite like my home. So take me back to London. So take me back to London.
Well, good evening, Soul Butterflies. I trust you're having a wonderful Wednesday evening. It is stormy here in DC. You are listening to Soma Fusion Radio with your host, Katie Kamara, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Washington, DC. We are broadcasting to you live worldwide this fine evening on Facebook, live soma-fusion.com, YouTube, and the official Global Enlightenment Radio Network.com website. For those who don't know who I am or what I do outside this radio show, to which of many refer to me as their guardian angel and inspiration for their dreams, I am an international author, life coach practitioner specializing in interpersonal relationships, executive coaching, a multidisciplinary in psychology and alternative therapies, and the founder of Soma Fusion, Mind, Body and Soul, and the Soma Fusion Academy. There's much to discuss on Soma Fusion Radio tonight. I hope you have all your pens and paper handy, and if you don't, just grab a glass of wine or a bottle of scotch and you'll be right to go. And because you can catch this archive of the show later. The official advertisers of Soma Fusion Radio is Conscious Apparel Co. Conscious Apparel Co. has stepped into the forefront of expanding consciousness through fashion, whether it's the mantra tees, platonic solid hoodies, or conscious baby onesies. Conscious Apparel Co. prides itself in providing aesthetic apparel that performs the role of elevating consciousness and spreading love. You can find those guys at consciousapparelco.com. We have a promo code for you. We are all one word, for 20% off of all their apparel. We are also supported by SIA. SIA products are the first and only source outside the body to provide balanced, stabilized redox signaling molecules which promote health at the cellular level. You can find those guys at 1-800-285-370.myasialive.com. We're also supported by Santosha Co. And Santosha Co. is a fresh new skincare company that specializes in natural and organic skincare products. The majority of the ingredients that go into their products are handpicked from their farm in northern Wisconsin, and that's Santosha.co. We're also supported by FNX Fitness. FNX Fitness is located in North Salt Lake, Utah. It is committed to creating innovative supplements of the highest quality that provides focus for a productive morning, energy to thrive all day, performance supplements to reach new goals, unique sleep and recovery formulas to support any sport, and healthy supplements to support an active lifestyle for years to come. You can find those guys at fnxfit.com. If you support me in my work, you can make a donation via PayPal at the bottom of my website, soma-fusion.com, or at Patreon. That's patreon.com/SomaFusion. I will give out a shout out to my dear friends at PSN Radio Network, Andrew Espino. He's based in Miami, Florida, and also World Pirate Radio Network in Seoul, South Korea. I will make a few mentions of and announcements tonight. Of course, you know that Soma Fusion, the brand, is growing very, very fast, and I will make a mention that again on this Friday night, the 19th of June, I will be a featured guest on the World Pirate Radio Network at 11 p.m. Eastern. You can go find those guys at wprpn.com. And of course, I do have to keep mentioning that Soma Fusion Academy has now officially opened its doors for its third week. Again, I encourage you to join my challenges and join in. We are currently day 17 of day 21 of the first challenge in mindfulness. So if you want to, just go over to the website, click the Soma Fusion Academy link in the menu where you'll find the instructions to get the Soma Fusion app, and follow the instructions. You will have access to daily updates, courses, exclusive daily challenges, exclusive weekly motivational messages, academy resources, and the Soma Fusion community forum. And of course, there's additional coaching and therapy services offered through there as well. If you need more information on that, contact me at Soma Fusion Academy. Again, go to soma-fusion.com and download the app, or you can email me with your queries at somafusionacademy@gmail.com. Again, up and coming, Soma Fusion Radio will be available on iHeart very, very soon. And also up and coming on Saturday, this Saturday coming, I am a co-host of another brand new radio show called Goddesses and Devils with myself and another lady, Amanda McManus. And so that show will be a very, very fun show, actually. We will have an awesome time. It's a time for you to be entertained with knowledge, of course, by a couple of great ladies. And of course, Soma Fusion Radio will be bringing that to you on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. We'll be talking about various topics that are very, very taboo in nature, from life, relationships, and of course, right down to taboo sex. Don't miss this show that'll be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. And remember, you must bring your drinks. However, I don't take responsibility for what you drink, because it's time to let go on a Saturday night and entertain the ideas that we bring to you each show without any judgments. It's a chance for you to learn and kick back on a Saturday night. Our first topic on this Saturday coming on our debut show, which I ask everybody to join in and call in on that show, is what can a woman do that a man thinks she can't? So this will be an interesting topic for everybody to enjoy. Of course, we're going to have a little controversial, competitive, and I mean healthy competitive conversation about it. With that said, it comes as no surprise that I am a radio show show host who likes to raise awareness and educate to empower others to reach individual potential, mind, body, and soul. I also have my own personal studies, which I explore religion, theology, sociology, pseudoscience versus science, ontology, occult studies, ancient history, civilizations, and ancient philosophy and hidden secrets, cosmology, semiology, linguistics, anthropology, and of course, all things psychology. We will be adding lots and lots of different subjects, which is why I'm very, very open to learning about what my guests have to say. And of course, tonight will be another topic, and that's something new that we can bring for all of you listeners out there to learn about. But one thing I do love is to delve into hard topics, especially those that are extremely taboo and critically controversial, or extremely academic. To those who are involved in their own beliefs, I explore them with critical open thinking and express them without judgment and social inclusion of all. But one thing I will never do on my show is express to you to exclusively jump onto my boat of values, beliefs, or ideologies, but to share them with you as a process of diverse learning, as a unified, harmonious community. With that said, I encourage each and every one of you listeners out there who are listening to call in and to join our conversation. And please be reminded of this. You do not have to believe anything I say or the guest says at this point on this show. The most important thing for you to do is to research and learn for yourself with a curious, open mind. And tonight we will talk about clinical hypnotherapy and psychic energy with our guest, Gresham NICKELL. I will mention the call-in number now. It will be up on the screen during the show. That's 929-436-2866 with the prompt 522-657-2748. If you would love to call in and ask Karen a question, or myself, or be a part of the show and join our conversation. Now, consciousness is the quality or state of being, aware of an external object or something within oneself, such as thoughts, feelings, memories, or sensations. It has also been defined in the following ways: sentience, awareness, subjectivity, and the ability to experience or to feel wakefulness, having a sense of selfhood, and the executive control system of the mind. At one time, consciousness was viewed with skepticism by many scientists, but in recent years, it's become a significant topic of research in psychology and neuroscience. Despite the difficulty in coming to a definition, many philosophers believe that there is a broadly shared underlying intuition about what consciousness is. Philosophers since the time of Descartes and Locke have struggled to comprehend the nature of consciousness and pin down its essential properties. Issues of concern in philosophy of consciousness include the following: whether consciousness can be ever explained mechanicalistically, whether non-human consciousness exists, and if so, how can it be recognized, how consciousness relates to language, whether consciousness can be understood in a way that it does not require a dualistic distinction between mental and physical states or properties, and whether it may ever be possible for computers or robots to be conscious. But the mind-body problem is essentially the problem of consciousness. Roughly speaking, it is the question of how mental experiences arise from a physical entity, and how our mental states, beliefs, actions, and thinking relates to our physical states, bodily functions, and external events, giving the body is physical and the mind is non-physical. The first and most important philosopher to address this conundrum was René Descartes in the 17th century, and his answer was termed as Cartesian dualism. The explained behind Cartesian dualism is that consciousness resides within an immaterial domain he called res cognitans, the realm of thought, in contrast to the domain of material things, which he called res extensa, the realm of extension. He suggested that the interaction between the two domains occurs inside the brain. He further suggested that the pineal gland as the point of interaction, but was later challenged several times on this claim. These challenges sparked some key initial research on consciousness, which we will discuss shortly. For over 2,000 years, questions surrounding human consciousness, such as how the everyday inner workings of our brains give rise to a single cohesive reality and a sense of individual self, have been baffling philosophers from Plato to Descartes. Descartes, as previously mentioned, is noted for his dualistic theory of consciousness, in which the physical body is separate from the immaterial mind. But he also gave us the most famous summary of human consciousness: I think, therefore I am. The historical materialism of Karl Marx rejects the body-mind or mind-body dichotomy and holds the consciousness is engendered by the material contingencies of one's environment. John Locke, another early philosopher, claimed that consciousness and therefore personal identity are independent of all substances. He pointed out that there's no reason to assume that consciousness is tied to any particular body or mind, or that consciousness cannot be transferred from one body or mind to another. American psychologist William James compared consciousness to a stream, unbroken and continuous despite constant shifts and changes. While the focus of much of the research in psychology shifted to purely observable behaviors, during the first half of the 20th century, research on human consciousness has grown tremendously since the 1950s. But today, the primary focus of consciousness research is on the understanding of what consciousness means both biologically and psychologically. It questions what it means for information to be present in consciousness, and seeks to determine the neural and psychological correlates of consciousness. Issues of interest include phenomena such as perception, subliminal perception, blind sight, agnosia, brain waves during sleep, and altered states of consciousness produced by psychoactive drugs or spiritual or meditative techniques. The majority of experimental studies assess a consciousness by asking human subjects for a verbal report of their experiences. However, in order to confirm the significance of these verbal reports, scientists must compare them to the activity that simultaneously takes place in the brain. That is, that they must look for the neural correlates of consciousness. The hope is here to find the observable activity in a particular part of the brain, or a particular pattern of global brain activity, which is strongly predictive of conscious awareness. Higher brain areas are more widely accepted as necessary for consciousness to occur, especially the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in a range of higher cognitive functions collectively known as the executive functions. First appearing in historical records of the ancient Mayan and Incan civilizations, various theories of multiple levels of consciousness have pervaded spiritual, psychological, medical, and moral speculations in both Eastern and Western cultures. Consciousness can be defined as human awareness to both internal and external stimuli. Because of occasional and sometimes substantial overlap between the hypotheses, there have been recently attempts to combine the perspectives to form new models that integrate components of separate viewpoints. The ancient Mayans were among the first to propose an organized sense of each level of consciousness, its purpose, and its temporal connection to humankind. Because consciousness incorporates stimuli from the environment as well as internal stimuli, the Mayans believed it to be the most basic form of existence, capable of evolution. The Incas, however, considered consciousness a progression not only of awareness, but of concern for others as well. But John Locke, a 17th century philosopher, was one of the first to speak and write on consciousness. He believed that our identity was tied to our consciousness, which he essentially defined as what passes through man's mind or memories. He also asserted that our consciousness is not tied to our physical bodies, and that it can survive even after our physical bodies die. In fact, Locke held that consciousness could be transferred from one soul to another. René Descartes also addressed the idea of consciousness in the 17th century. He set out to answer the question of how it is possible that our consciousness and a non-physical thing can come from our bodies, a physical thing. The explanation he came up with was the Cartesian dualism. In short, consciousness resides within a material domain. He recalled res cognitus and, like I said before, the realm of thought. And then, of course, in contrast to the domain of material things, the realm of extension. But he suggested that the interaction between the two domains occurs inside the brain. And here's where you have one of the most controversial of all, Sigmund Freud. While Eastern perspectives on consciousness have remained relatively stable over the centuries, fluctuations in theories have come to define Western perspective. And one of the most popular Western theories is that of Sigmund Freud, medical doctor and father of psychoanalytic theory. Freud divided human consciousness into three levels of awareness: the consciousness, preconscious, and unconscious. Each of these levels corresponds and overlaps with Freud's idea of the ID, ego, and the superego. The conscious level consists of all things that we are aware of, including things that we know about ourselves and our surroundings. The preconscious consists on things that we pay conscious attention to. So if we so desired, and where many memories are stored for easy retrieval. Freud saw the preconscious as comprised of thoughts that are unconscious and at the particular moment in question, but that are not repressed and therefore available to recall and easily capable of becoming conscious. For example, the tip of the tongue effect. The unconscious consists of things that are outside of the conscious awareness, including memories, thoughts, urges of which we are not aware of. Much of what is stored in the unconscious is thought to be unpleasant or conflicting. For example, sexual impulses that are deemed unacceptable. While these elements are stored out of our awareness, they are nevertheless thought to influence our behavior. While Freud's theory remains one of the best known various schools in the field of psychology, they have developed their own perspectives. And it is important to note that these perspectives are not necessarily mutually exclusive, just different approaches to the same questions. But when you hear the words altered state of consciousness, you may think of bell bottoms, hippies, and LSD. But some altered states have nothing to do with drugs and are more important than we may think. Altered states of consciousness, sometimes called non-ordinary states, include various mental states in which the mind can be aware but is not in its usual wakeful condition, such as during hypnosis, meditation, hallucination, trance, and the dream stage. Altered states can occur anywhere from a yoga class to the birth of a child. They allow us to see our lives and ourselves with broader lens and from different angles of perception than the ordinary mind. I often witness people relying too heavily on the ordinary mind, and they painstakingly analyze themselves and their problems with little payoff, as if the ordinary mind and the only is the only and best tool for healing. And I'll give you an example. Adele was one such person. She was a 45-year-old mother of two who suffered from depression related to aging. She was highly intelligent and could articulate perfectly why being in her 40s bothered her so much. But as much as she tried to convince herself it wasn't true, she could not shake the idea that her life was essentially over. That of all the good times were in the past. And she struggled to overcome this belief, which was at the heart of her depression, but made little progress. Many of us are like Adele. We live our lives, we meet our challenges with the intellect, neglecting the opportunities that altered states offer. Maybe we just prefer the safety and predictability of the ordinary mind and the world of thought. We know what's wrong intellectually, but we feel stuck, and when it comes to getting relief, we feel stuck in part because we're relying too heavily on figuring it out, our problems. When we only use the ordinary mode of consciousness, our problems can become self-perpetuating. We are like a stuck person in a hole who digs with a shovel rather than climbing out with a ladder. Sometimes we can't see the ladder with an ordinary mind. It's almost like the revolving door. At times like these, dropping the effort to figure ourselves out can be the best medicine. But that doesn't mean dropping the effort to get better, but giving the intellect a rest for a while. Which brings me to hypnosis. Now, if I talk about spiritual hypnosis, it is all about solving the mystery of life, connecting to the desires and intentions of your soul, so that you break through the blocks and barriers and finding your purpose in life. Using the likes of soul speak, hypnotic dream work, natal and past life regression. Anyone, be it minor intrigue, an intense and passionate interest, or a deep evolutionary understanding of energy and consciousness. And it can uncover and reconnect with the purpose for which they came into this life. Such a discovery can transform one's life from a place of block stagnation to one's vitality and to one of vitality and shine. This is an area of exploration open to all, seeking profound transformation and change and deep meaning and value at the level of the soul. This depth of work is also a beautiful complement to your spiritual practice,
Yes.
be it yoga or meditation, journal writing, martial arts, or any other spiritual pursuit that uncovers the shadow, fears, blocks, or anxiety. And in sessions when working with somebody, you can work on breaking through the deepest blocks and barriers of one transformative session at a time. The nature of reality is 50% manifest or form and 50% unmanifest or formless. So to accept the nature of reality, it is to be as is perceived through the world of form, and it is to negate or deny half of existence. Hypnosis is a vehicle through which we may explore the unmanifest realm of existence and the nature of reality. So it's important to keep in mind that nothing is ever destroyed. It only transforms itself. So what happens to us when we die from this material world that makes living the fleeting gift of life? And how do we connect to soul so that we live from purpose while we're still here? But I digress. The key to UFOs, switching gears for a second, the key to UFOs and contact with extraterrestrials in a word is consciousness. The fundamental principle you must understand is the concept known as the omniconsciousness. The omniconsciousness is beyond comprehension, and it permeates all things everywhere. And when many folks look upon the omniconsciousness as the divine force that is at the core of many spiritual beliefs. All living things are part of the omniconscious. And when we as humans and our dualistic thinking tends to think that we are separate from the omniconsciousness, but we really aren't. We ourselves, like all living things, connected to the omniconsciousness because we are part of the whole. Again, I must empathize this one critical point. The omniconsciousness transcends time, space, and vast distances, and even dimensions of the multi-universe. Now, people who are adept at deep meditation can usually touch the primordial knowledge and sense of knowing. Think of deep meditation as a way of quietening the day-to-day chatter of our ordinary conceptual mind. And when we can get ourselves into this meditative state, interesting things are possible. Historically, mystical practitioners like shamans, monastics, and other forms of mystics have been able to reach out and touch star beings, as some indigenous tribes call them. Again, the key to this is our connectedness to all other living beings through the omniconsciousness. In recent years, there's been a movement with the experiencer movement, formerly known as alien abductees, to reach out and contact extraterrestrial intelligence using altered states of meditative consciousness. There is a structured process for this, and it's called CE5 protocols. And CE5 stands for Close Encounters 5. Now, I realize that some might think that attempting to communicate with extraterrestrial intelligence using the mind and directed consciousness sounds ridiculous. But consider this. Have you never had a personal flash of an extrasensory perception, experienced a mum's intuition, been guided through a remote viewing exercise, or experienced a sense of peace and profound knowing from practicing a deep meditation or prayer? The evidence suggests that it's real. The truth has everything to do with UFOs, and making contact with extraterrestrials has everything to do with consciousness. It is about practicing the art of quieting one's mind, being at peace, and reaching out with one's heart to contact an extraterrestrial intelligence. And perhaps we could ask our guest more about that subject. And with that said, let's hit a break. You are listening to Soma Fusion Radio with your host, Katie Kamara, on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. For more info, please look me up on social media or go to my website, soma-fusion.com or somafusionmedia.com. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share out this show, and let the world know what we're learning each week, and invite them to listen with us. And when we come back, we will have our guest and my beautiful, insightful friend, Karen Gresham NICKELL, where we'll be talking all things regarding hypnotherapy and psychic energy, and lots of other intriguing things too.
Goes up, my heart goes down. We fall in love and we fall back out. I'll give you anything you want, anything you want, anything, anything. keep on going. Tell me to stop, but I keep on going. Tell me to stop, but I keep on going. Keep on, keep on, keep on. You'll never stop this thing. I will never let you go. Well, who am I to say? Maybe by now you should know. You got your somebody calling. You think you're somebody, don't you? I think you're scared of keeping somebody close. You'll never stop this thing. I will never let you go. Wasn't it enough, or did I move too far? It's all too much. I think I must be mad to give you everything I had, everything I had, everything, everything, but it still went bad. Tell me to stop, but I keep on going. Tell me to stop, but I keep on going. Tell me to stop, but I keep on going. Keep on, keep on, keep on. You'll never stop this thing. I will never let you go. Well, who am I to say? Maybe by now you should know. You got your somebody calling. You think you're somebody, don't you? I think you're scared of keeping somebody close. You'll never stop this thing. I will never let you go. Keep away from me if you can't withstand my love. Keep away from me if you think you must. Keep away from me if you can't withstand my love. Keep away from me if you think you must. You'll never stop this thing. I will never let you go. Well, who am I to say? Maybe by now you should know. You got your somebody calling. You think you're somebody, don't you? I think you're scared of keeping somebody close. You'll never stop this thing. I will never let you go.
And we are back. You are listening to Soma Fusion Radio with your host, Katie Kamara, on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. And tonight we have our guest, Karen Gresham. She entered this lifetime with a gift of insight. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist and licensed educator in the state of Texas. Her speciality is helping individuals remove hidden blocks that are preventing them from achieving their goals. Karen often offers psychic energy readings and clinical hypnotherapy to individuals, entrepreneurs, and cultural creatives. She is a graduate of Texas Wesleyan University. I think I said that right. Karen has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Fine Arts, along with a secondary degree in English, as well as teaching credentials in both subjects. She is also trained and certified as a clinical hypnotherapist with Boyne's American Council of Hypnotist Examiners in Los Angeles, California. In the 1970s and early 1980s, Karen worked as a researcher for international best-selling author David Clair. Their work together took them throughout the world, including Brazil, the UK, the US, and Mexico, where they presented workshops and private consultations teaching individuals how to incorporate cosmic forces into one's life for healing and positive change. It was in Rio that Karen undertook a project for intensive spiritual discovery focused on indigenous Brazilian practices, along with the exploration of paranormal phenomena. Clinical hypnotherapy and psychic energy readings. During the mid-1980s, Karen worked as a clinical hypnotherapist, operating her private practice in the Prioli, I think I said that right, residential section of Rome, Italy. Her role as a psychic empath, she conducted her readings along with assessments leading to treatment via clinical hypnosis. Her practice focused on programming the subconscious mind, along with the work that assessed altered states of consciousness. In the early 1990s, Karen continued her work in Dallas, Texas with Antonio Eliobaum, MD, in a medical practice offering clinical hypnotherapy. Dr. Baum graduated from the University of Roma in 1960 and worked with Dr. Michael DeBakey's cardiovascular surgery team at the Methodist DeBakey Heart and Vascular Center in Houston, Texas. She works with using clinical hypnotherapy, and Karen interviewed hundreds of coal miners who were witnesses to extraordinary events in the 1987 Wythe Hill, Virginia UFO sightings, and described in the book Don't Look Up. A contactee herself, she believes that love is the key to humanity's galactic mission for contact with extraterrestrials and other spirit guides who can help us attain our highest purpose and fulfill our galactic mission. As stewards of the Earth and citizens of the cosmic community, professionally, though, Karen has worked for more than 35 years helping everybody from national and international celebrities to the ordinary people, including students and children throughout the world. Her clients have included Federico Fellini, Franco Brusati, and Antonio Carlos Tom Jobim, a Brazilian composer, the girl from the girl Ipanema. Karen uses her ability to read and interpret a client's energy field and provides workable solutions for their needs and goals. And with that said, we'll bring on Karen right now. How are you, Karen?
I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Okay, because I'm not very computer savvy.
Oh no, that's okay. Welcome to
I had someone helping me, Derek, who helps me out.
No,
Get me all ready. So I'm ready to go.
That's absolutely fine. How are you? Welcome to Soma Fusion Radio.
Thank you, and I'm honored for you to have me. This is a lot of fun, and
it will be a lot of. You know what? I love people when they come on here because that means it gives me a chance to talk about things that are get right down to the core of the message that you want to give to the world and the information that I have, the knowledge, and just increase my knowledge base as well along with the listeners, because this is what this show's all about, is to learn. And so with what you do... Pardon?
We all learn from each other.
Exactly. We're a community. And for me, I'm a pantomathic. So I like to learn. I don't want to come across as a know-it-all, but I love to learn. I like to learn because I think there's more out there for others to learn, and I think a lot of people out there have become somewhat lazy.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Lazy. I'm just putting it, I'm putting it nicely, but they come somewhat lazy in terms of how they want to. How they want to try and work on themselves. And of course, you and I both work heavily in personal development. And so, but you on a more clinical side of things, put it that way. I also am a hypnotherapist as well. So you and I have one thing in common.
That's wonderful.
But tell me a little bit about what you do.
Excuse me, I have allergy problems really bad. Just a second. Excuse me.
You're okay.
This is terrible.
You're okay. It is. We're having a thunderstorm here in DC. It's the weather is either hot or it's cold, and yeah.
Are you in New York?
Pardon?
Are you? Derek said you were in New York. Are you in New York?
No, I'm actually in Washington DC.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I love you've got a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you. I'm not actually American, so
I'll switch with you.
That's okay. Well, you can if you want.
Are you from the UK?
No, I'm actually Australian.
Oh, how beautiful. Yes, that's great. Same thing. Okay. So I feel like that we're here, those of us who are doing what we're doing and having the conversations we're having, couldn't be at a better time for us to learn and for us to provide and give and answer any questions that anybody might have. I don't know if you have that set up, but
Yes, I
I'm
do.
open to answer any questions. Um, we're in a planetary transition for humanity, and it's never been this way before. And so this is a real important part for each one of us to open our consciousness, to start asking ourselves questions and questions about what it's like. And you're talking about afterlife. And I just lost my husband 6 months ago. And so I've been through, I can tell very much with all my strength, as well as having done this professionally for all these years. Actually, he and I had a plan on how we were going to do this when he left.
Mm-hmm.
And so there have been a lot of people to pass also in our globe over this virus. And so I find that if people can tune in to their higher self or learn what that means through, I believe in the power of prayer and also meditation, sound, music. I have published 4 used to be CDs, music on Amazon. 1 is in Portuguese and 3 are in English. And I also make personalized meditation for what I channel that particular individual needs through their electromagnetic field to go in and get the glitches out and open up. And for some reason, maybe people are scared to know beyond the boundaries in which they were raised. I'm not sure. But myself, and I'm sure you feel the same way, is I like to continue that road and pathway to learn, continue learning. And that's what we're doing.
Exactly. And my condolences too. So
Oh, thank you, dear.
you're welcome. I believe that too. And I think I'm finding a lot of people now. I mentioned in the beginning of the show that there's a lot of people out there that are stuck. They just don't know what to do. And I think the other thing is too is that a lot of people have lost the ability to know. It's not that they don't know, but they don't know how to authentically love. And when I say authentically love, I mean love themselves.
Right.
Because we're so focused on the exterior world that we become so lost. We're really lost.
Yes, that's true. And that's where we are. I mean, the people who are giving the information and providing information from the higher ups, be it whomever they be, are just going in circles.
Mm-hmm.
You never hear of anybody producing any answers beyond the realm. And so this is what we do. Now, I'm sure you've experienced this. I have been in the medical field, and Dr. Bormy and I had a clinic. And that was back in the day. And he was a cardiologist, a thoracic surgeon with the DeBakey team in Houston, which is really big, or was. And DeBakey's dead and has been dead for a long time. But he kind of let me be creative. He was gone a lot, in and out. So I had to deal with the pharmaceuticals, the psychiatrists, all the doctors and the people. And he was there. He had wonderful bedside manners. He was great with the patients, and everybody loved him. And he was like a surrogate father to me. Mm-hmm. So what I had to do and what I have to do is I'm kind of coming out of the closet with all this, because I've had to be in a certain role for the doctors where they wouldn't think I was a kook, you know, and still I border on that because I'm learning who cares. You know, I have to get these messages out. And so I'm very honored to be on your show. I do have a video that I posted on my Facebook about a doctor. He's an MD, he's a neurosurgeon, and he's wonderful. And it's the most wonderful video you'll ever see about afterlife. And he came out with all of his colleagues. He's a Harvard graduate and told about all this, which bravo to him. I mean, his name is Eben Alexander, Eben Alexander, MD. He's a neurosurgeon.
Okay.
And I know you and I are friends on Facebook, so you can find him if you scroll way down. And it's a wonderful video. It's very, very informative. And he agrees with everything that you and I are talking about. So, I think now is the time where people will find answers if they can get away from the politics and the racism.
Exactly.
Because those are blocking, I always tell some friends, what are they going to do when the blue people come in, I mean, we're all the same. Yes, it doesn't make any difference what color you are or what. That's how we are, as far as the galaxy and the Galactic Confederation is concerned. This planet, and we don't even know if the name is Earth. We call it Earth. It's also Terra in Latin. But we don't even know what its name is. It probably has a sign or a symbol or something, maybe a sound. But it's considered an unpeaceful, uncivilized planet overall because of the killing, all the things that have gone on since the beginning of time, but yet it's very beautiful physically. It has a lot of history. And from the days of Atlantis and the days of Lemuria through coming forward now. And it's time now. We can't keep on going. This planet is on a borderline. I don't want to say anything because we have every reason to live and survive and to help this planet go into a transition of beauty, understanding, love. Love is the biggest thing of all, and to understand how all this puzzle comes together. So
I think you make a very, very valid point there, because I know that we're going through. I mentioned on my last show, I just had Dr. Louis Turi on Sunday. And for the listeners out there too, I did have an exclusive show in between the week. So if anyone missed it, you might want to go over to my YouTube channel because the archive is over there. But I made a valid point about going into the age of Aquarius, and we started that back in 2012. And of course, we've been going through this whole evolutionary process in terms of spirituality and so on and so forth. Now, with that said, there are a lot of people out there that are these quote unquote new ages who are promoting and are more open to being contacted, going into deep meditative states in order to bring out more of their intuition. There are lots more that are advocating more harmonious communities. It's almost like the repetitive communities of the 1960s is going into another cycle where we're in, and you remember the old back in the 70s where people used to want to do those dig outs and go underground because the UFOs were coming and we were come in peace kind of stuff. Oh yeah. But now it's more open and accepted, and of course now we're in today's age in terms, disclosure. There's a lot of that stuff going on, and I think with everything that's going on, we're more our perspectives have changed. It's not the perspectives of the old ways, and I don't know if that is a generational thing or whether it's, I don't know, it's just something that we've been ingrained to, something to listen to, and we've just taken on the concept. I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I think what you're saying is true. I think that I wonder why people aren't more curious within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem, now my students are great, and they are, but that's a different group. But I'm talking about the population that we're supposed to reach. And I know we reach them through our electromagnetic fields and just beingness. And your show is a great way to reach people too, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
This is really important. I think that most of what's happening here is that, of course, everybody's in the COVID fear. But they can let that fear be a diving board into a positive realm of learning and seeking and discovering their higher self at these meditative states that are deep alpha.
So tell me a little bit more about that. How do we go into these meditative states in terms of, and whether it would be, booking a session with you, or doing it as like a self-hypnosis, or a general meditation, or guided, something that's guided?
Okay. Well, you can do it by yourself. You can do it just lie down into a very relaxed position and close your eyes and listen to a music or a background music that's used very, very calming. There are so many. Whatever the individual is attracted to that sound. And then they start counting themselves down. And I like to use the number 20 and start to visualize and allow themselves to see the number as they're descending. And when they get to 1, if they can do it any types of creative ways, they can learn how to see colors. And they can imagine a circle and a color and the shades of that color. And there are many creative ways to develop the mind at those elementary levels. And that's what I suggest first. Now, I do make these personalized MP3s, and Derek sends them through email to the individual, and they put it on their telephone. They put it on their iPhone or Android. Mm-hmm. And don't ask me how to do that. He's the one. But I do that whenever I'm teaching my students how to trust themselves, because that's the big deal, is that we have to learn how to trust ourselves. And I go back to my Facebook. I found a very dear friend of mine sent me this video that's been more than beautiful, of 2 little girls about 10 years old. And they're called the volunteers. And it's all done telepathically, and they have the cutest little conversation. And it answers all these questions to perfection. And about every week, I'll put it back up, hope that people can see it and get some attention. But it's really cute, and it's so true. But we have been taught to go as far as we go. This is where we are. And right now in the world, aside from the environmental part of the COVID and the riots and all of this, we have experienced a way of backing down emotionally and personally with others, and all the emotions come out. And that's part of processing what's going on in our environment. Everybody does it a different way. So that's, ask me anything, or, that's what's important to know too, is that everybody's affected by this. And it doesn't have to be bad. It can be awakening. It can be the little bell that rings and time to ask questions type thing, or ask yourself questions, or not judge, not judge by any means. There's only one God. There's the cosmic forces. There's God. There's whatever the force. I pray all the time. And I meditate. I should meditate more, but I don't have the time, or I don't take the time, or it runs away from me. And also that time is moving so quickly. And I had these children who used to come to me before the COVID, and we would talk about that. And I asked them, I said, do you all ever experience any time difference? Yes, it felt like we just got to school and then we're here. It's night. So even these children recognize there's a time change. There's a feeling of a quickness, of rushing, time and space.
I believe that time with time and the connection between time and space is very much the interrelatedness that we have with each other. And I think that when time and space is affected in some way, we tend to have not the form of chaos theory, but the butterfly effect. And it's a ripple effect that goes not just from one person to another, but it's goes all over the world. And there's nothing that anybody can do to stop it. And there's no logical reason to explain the phenomena that comes behind it either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is that, last week I said, you know what, it's time to be kind. We're in the state of COVID-19 where we're all stuck in our four walls. We're stuck with our families. Many people have lost their jobs, and they don't know if they're going to be financially secure. They don't know the way forward, and there has been a natural calling to people like you and I who are healers, to help those people progress forwards, to get that light bulb moment, to wake up and say, hey, just because you've lost, just because of this and that, it doesn't mean that you're losing. And that's a big difference between losing and loss. You're not losing anything at all. You're still breathing. COVID-19 might be dangerous to people, but it's now becoming a fact of life, and it's trying to figure out how to cope to move forward. And yes, it's people like you and I who have to who stand on the forefront of this to try and actively help people to wake up to that possibility that this might be a fact of life, but there's more to life than just to sit there and worry about the things that is going on. I mean, for all those mums out there who are trying to, they're sitting there with their kids, their mums and dads. The last thing that we wanted was to stay home in our four walls. And this is the other thing that I was going to mention too, is that now that we are stuck in our houses during this period, we are now coming home to realize, oh, wait, we've got a husband, we've got a wife, we've got children. We're so used to getting up in the morning, going to work for a 9-to-5 job or whatever those hours may be, and then coming home, having dinner and spending a little bit of time with the kids before going to bed, and then going to sleep and waking up in the morning and doing it all over again. Now we have the opportunity to bond with our own families. We're starting to figure out who our wives and husbands are and partners are. We're starting to figure out what our children have been doing all this time and what their little personalities are growing into. And we're learning about ourselves.
And that's true. I think that's a positive place, That's a great place to take the positive in and to do exactly what you're saying.
But the problem is with that, once you get to learning up about our family members and our partners and our friends and what we are capable of in living confined, I would say a confined space, because living in a house all day and not being able to move around too far is kind of confinement. And when we get to learning about ourselves and what we are capable of and what we are feeling emotionally, we suddenly go, I don't want any of this crap.
Mm-hmm.
Depression
Yeah.
comes, anxiety comes, and all of this other stuff has been brought on by something that cannot even be controlled. Somewhat,
That's
anyway. Because COVID-19 is now becoming a fact of life, just like the common cold, just
yes,
like
it
the
is.
flu.
And it may continue into mutate in other ways, less and more. And it's interesting. I had heard that they're looking at a steroid to take away a lot of the inflammation. I've always thought, because I did a lot of work with Dr. Wormy and I juggled some things with steroids with him. I mean, they're not good for you because they do a lot of bad things to the body, but they can also have a lot of influence and possibly on this in some way they make it up. I think that might be a part of the way they're going to find this cure, is there will be some type of steroid involved. And there are many of those. People with autoimmune take them. And so you have to be careful on balancing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we're close to finding next year something that will take this down, not totally away. But, after this, something else can come up. We're in a time where the universe, our guides, our angels, the people that are from the invisible realms that we can't see, but we know and we work with, and we try to teach people to work with them, is to learn confirmation, is to learn how you're heard. And this is what I teach. I teach people to tap into this realm of invisibility and learn how to receive their synchronicities, their signs, their symbols. And if you look, they're all around us, everywhere. When I was little, in elementary school, there was a magazine that came around. I think they have videos now about it. It was called the Children's Highlights book. Mm-hmm. And it had all the little animals and things in the picture, and you had to pick them out, and they were blended with the scenery. And they have some of these, I think, on gaming now in the video world. But people need to look at that more, because everybody has them. Everybody has the synchronicities. It's almost like, it's what, like Paula Harris, Star Works USA that I'm with, she has a book called Connecting the Dots. And it's also likened to connecting the dots. And what I'm saying is also like a jigsaw puzzle. All the pieces come together and make the picture. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the young people want it right now, like a magic wand. Well, there are no magic wands. And part of the way to walk through that spiritual pathway to get it is to start saying, okay, I want some confirmation on this. I want to know, are you real? Even though I can't see you, show me something. And this is how it happens, because you can get the feedback.
Exactly. And it's we've all now starting to come to the understanding that most of us need to work on our biofeedback.
Right. That's true. That is true. I know my husband and I worked for 20 years on ours. And before he died, because we were together 10 years in the 60s to 76 and was separated for 22 years and got back together in 2000. And we're married till now. Mm-hmm. And but we worked on ourselves a lot and stopped all the bad things for our body physically and did meditation, did all these things. But it was wonderful, because he told me, he said, I will be able to help you more now. And you'll be getting the signs, the symbols, and the things that I'm leaving for you. Well, this happened a couple of months ago. And I was getting my messages from my landline telephone. And I got some of it. All of a sudden, I heard this sound. And it was his voice. and it said 3 words, and it sounded like he was struggling to get through the dimensions, the inner realms. And I said, oh my God. And it just said, I'm going to try a new vehicle. That's it. And I could tell, I've had many other things since he's been gone, but this one is on the recording, and it's been tested, and it's been heard by people who knew him closely, and everybody was just shocked. But I thought, wow, he had the ability to really break through. But you could tell he was worn out, like running a race by the time he could say a word, and it was muffled. But when you play his voice before he passed, and that, it's the same. It's him. So I'm very grateful for that. And I've had other things, and we're not special. We just worked at it really hard. And everybody has that ability to have these things happen. There have been many people who've had these things happen. What I've just said. There have been people who have seen their loved ones come forth and manifest. Some in more dense than others. It depends on how much the person knew about these realms before they leave. And that's another thing, is that on the physical death, there is no death. We don't die. We just leave our body, our physical body, and become an observer. And we look all around, and we watch our theater of what we left, and we check to see the glitches we cleaned and what we did and this, that, and the other. And then we have a wonderful feeling where the people that we love that went before us are going to be there. Our parents, our loved ones, and some other helpers, maybe not from this planet, maybe not from this realm, and also angels. Many people will be there. And so that's the place that an individual goes, is also from the schooling and what they absorbed in the lesson whenever they were in the last play. Because we've had many plays on the physical world, many past lives. He and I found one and went to England way back, like 15 years ago, and researched it for 5 years. So we've really worked. And I know you have too. And so it's our desire as light workers and of people who've been gifted with all of this, or been shown these things and struggle to be weird among people, and to share it with others in a very gentle way. And it's all about love, not anger.
Exactly. Exactly. And I know that my co-host over here just wrote up on Facebook, it is harder to say I love you than it is to say I hate you. Many people have a hard time understanding that I love is not a weakness, but it is actually a great strength that we all possess and are capable of using.
Because that's the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
And people are scared to say I love you for fear of the rejection.
Yes, we are. I always say I love you. It's so natural to me. It doesn't matter whether you're a friend, it doesn't matter whether you're my partner, it doesn't matter whether you're a lover. It really does not matter to me.
Yeah, I do too. And of course, I'm a big animal lover. I love animals. Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to get people's love going.
Exactly. And I think there needs to be a hell of a lot more than in this day and age, put it that way. For those who do want to call into, we do have our call-in number. It is 929-436-2866 with the meeting ID number prompting 522-657-2748. And we do have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, Katie. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Hi. I was calling in because my name is Angelica. Anyways, but I was calling in because we're looking into studying hypnotherapy, and I just wanted to know if you have any advice.
Where do you live there?
In California, but I'm planning on moving to Arizona so I can go to the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts.
Well, that would be good. Yeah. The place where I went to school was in California. It was Gil Boyne's school, and he's been deceased a long time ago. It was back in the late 80s. And I don't know of any school or anything to recommend. I know that the Southwest probably has the best ones. So, do you know of any? Well, what did you have in mind?
Well, I just wanted to know, do you think it makes a good career?
Oh yeah. If there people can do it conservatively, where they teach people to quit smoking, or they, do that conservative. I actually don't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it from another level. I mean, when you become a clinical hypnotherapist, you can even use it to help in C-section for people having babies. So it's unlimited what you can do. What is your interest in?
Okay.
What type would you like to be taught?
No, I'm not sure. I just know I want to learn hypnotherapy and then hypnotherapy past life regression as well.
Okay, well, the regression, like past life regression or regression into childhood?
I don't know, maybe both. I don't know. There's just a lot of things I'm going to study because I also want to study Reiki, and there's just other things.
And if it's the name of the place, you're leaving to go to Arizona?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like if you've done some good research, you must be going to a good place.
Yeah.
When you call, you could ask the administration about it, what they offer and what they teach in relation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I already know, I've done, all the research about the different classes. I just wanted to know, what's your input on, career-wise, how has it worked out for you?
What? I'm sorry? What? I can't.
I just wanted to know your input, since you have, experience in it, I just wanted to know how it's worked out for you.
Oh, gosh. Well, it's done everything for me because basically I was doing it, probably you are too, even before you went to go to school. Is you just go to a meditative state and you learn how to teach people how to self-hypnotize. And it's not as big as it seems. It's basically just teaching people how to go to all states of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it's been my career for, 35 years? And I work it in different ways. Right now, I'm teaching people who are on their path of enlightenment on how to trust themselves, how to go to their own higher level of consciousness through sound. I have a recording studio, and I channel the music necessary with my sound and my programming are in relation to what they listen to, and they can listen to it on a daily basis and learn how to use that part of their mind and their brain to learn how to manifest and that they are the architect of their life and to trust that. And that's a higher pathway thing. You have to, can I ask your age?
39.
Okay, so you're very young. That's about the age I was. I was about 37 when I started, as a matter of fact. And yeah, that's interesting. So you're ready for it. And are you interested in the paranormal? Are you interested in what's beyond the visual of the conventional and all of that?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Well, then that's all it takes. And, be sure and let your teachers know that. You come from that realm, and it's really good. You should go to you can go to YouTube and listen to this neurologist. I don't know if you were on the program when I was telling Katie about him. He's an MD, and his name is Eben Alexander. EBEN, and he is on YouTube, and he talks about life after death, and he experienced it. And he talks about pain in the mind. And so when you get into hypnosis, nobody can hypnotize anybody unless they let that person have permission to do it. And when you're hypnotizing somebody, you're not taking away anything from them. A lot of people have a lot of scary things. Oh, hypnosis. Well, it's not like that. You can actually be hypnotized by sound or music or certain tones in a room just by listening. It just takes you to a relaxed state of clarity, and then you learn how to do it. It's easy. Yeah. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, like I try to practice hypnosis like every day when I go to sleep. Like that's one thing I'll listen to like throughout my sleep. I'll listen to different hypnosis, so that recordings, so that so I can manifest more, and also just for healing my chakras and stuff, realigning them.
And that's good. The thing that you have to do that can make all that come true quickly is to trust in yourself. And that sounds simple, but that's the hard part, to believe that you are truly the architect of your play called life. And that sounds really simple, but it's very hard. I've known people who have been had knowledge metaphysically to fill an encyclopedia from historical times on, and they don't trust themselves, and they can't make anything happen. And they have a wealth of information and knowledge, but they don't believe that they can do it. And we can all do it. We're all the same. We're all alike. We were all created as humans, or shifted to humans, to be here, to help go through this. So it's a test. And you say it's probably, how long have you been on this pathway?
Since I was 21, like I realized that I had abilities, and so that's when I started, becoming more aware of my psychic abilities, of being empath and clairvoyant and medium. And since then I've just been practicing, and then like I want to say like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I encountered Reiki. And then once I encountered Reiki, I just started opening a lot more doors for me. And then I'd already taken one Reiki class, and then and my the social worker I had at the time, she turned me on to the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and then that's why I was more turned on to hypnotherapy, so I was learning it as career path and stuff.
Well, that's wonderful. It sounds like you're headed for a real good career. Sounds like you kind of did what I did. You already knew a lot of it anyway. You just needed to get the piece of paper. And that's probably what it is, and have some experiences.
Yeah, and it's like, and a lot of people have like tried to turn me away from that, because I'm studying to finish my high school equivalency test. And my tutor that I had, she was trying to convince me to go for a more traditional degree, and telling me that it'll be more accepted and stuff. And I was just like, but that's not what's gonna catch my attention. And I was just like, I really didn't listen to her, and I was like, no, but and now like the doors are opening for I'm starting to gain a lot more I want to say access to a lot of people that that are into all of this, and I'm more acquainted now with a lot more people, so that are studying the same field I am, and that practicing this their abilities as well. So I mean, that's just opened a lot more doors for me to see what there is a market for this, because I was kind of starting to doubt myself a while back, but now that I'm starting to see, like, even if I just my clients are based on Facebook, I'm starting to see that that's a possibility, and that that can happen.
It can, and you're still very young, and you have everything ahead of you, and you're already talented with the gift anyway. So that's wonderful. It sounds like you're going to a great school.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm really in love with it because I'm gonna be able to qualify for financial aid as soon as I'm done with my HiSET.
That's great. So,
and a lot of my friends were just telling me, like, that's unheard of. People don't get financial aid to study what you're studying. And I was like, yeah, I know, like, because I want to study an array of things, like, and hypnotherapy is one of the first ones I'm going to start with. And, like, because I live in California right now, and all depending on how soon I can move to Arizona is when I'm going to start studying on campus. But, like, I'm going to do Reiki, hypnotherapy, holistic substance abuse counseling, and, there's some business classes as well that I want to take, so.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I say go for it. You've got a lot of great energy, because I can read your energy as you talk, and it sounds like you're going to do fantastic. I wish you all.
Thank you.
I also feel that you've got the right place to go.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this move. Like, I'm just focusing on making this happen. Like, as soon as I can. Like, if I can move tomorrow, I'm there.
When is your birthday?
January 9th of 1981.
Okay, so you're a Capricorn. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of change, and they're real good in business and all that. So that's wonderful. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, you'll go far with everything that you want to learn. There are a lot of people out there that don't really get into the healing field until they're a lot later on in their life, and that's because either one of two things: either they just never thought of it at the time, or they have gone through the experience of the human experience.
Yeah,
they've decided.
That's me. I went through the human experience. I had to go through a lot to get to where I am now, and it's like, and I think everything happens for a reason. And like I've just been struggling, like, I want to say these last 2 years, just with like my living situation, and like I was just hoping and wanting things to get better. And they weren't. And now that, things are, I'm starting to realize, things are coming into play, and I'm realizing, well, they didn't work out for a reason, because I was meant to move to Arizona, and I was trying to move with other people in the past, and now it's like I've come to see that I need to move on my own, and, just, be on move out there, I might struggle for a little while, but I think financially it's going to be a better move for me.
I think so too. I think you'll enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Just go. Don't rush into it. Make sure that you've got your footing first as well. So you make sure that you know what you want to do, precisely, rather than, because you're still. I get the feeling that you're still trying to find your feet. Would I be correct in saying that?
But so what?
You're still trying to find your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure that you do a little bit of research into. There's lots of great schools out there, but do your research into to know what fields that you want to choose precisely, so that and all modalities are great, absolutely. But just make sure that you choose something that you absolutely are passionately loving towards. You will and you'll find plenty of fields that will naturally gravitate towards what you your abilities that you have already.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that said, it's not going to be an overnight process, and you're still going to continue to grow. But like I said, just look into it's a great field to go into, and just do some research. You'll know it. There's always a reason. There's always a reason for everything.
Yeah.
Did you want to ask any more questions, dear?
No, that's it. Thank you for everything, and I'm enjoying the show.
Oh, well, thank you for asking, and thank you for being a part of it.
All right. Okay, have a great day, guys.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you.
So, Karen, regarding abilities and that, you talk about psychic energy. Do you use that within your modalities of hypnotherapy, or do you? Because I know that you do readings. What kind of readings do you do?
Okay, I do readings through sound, and I do all my work's virtual now,
Okay.
and either Zoom, a video, or what I've learned so much, FaceTime, Zoom. There's a pre-conference call. There's uh, all these things, and it's just like being in person. But I read the people's auric field and the sound, and I start to see pictures from the invisible realm that's between the individual and myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like watching a little film in my brain that's giving me information, and I tell the person. So that's how I do my readings. And a lot of people want it recorded, and then I have to rely on Derek. He's the brain.
Mm-hmm.
He's brilliant. And so he can record it. If the person doesn't want to do a video, we can do a recorded session, and then they get the little music, 15-minute recorded channel for meditation along with that.
Okay.
And then I teach in many ways. I have a lot of exercises they do. I work with art therapy with them, how to read that, how to receive their signs, how to watch for synchronicities that are around them, because everything is happening in the divine vibration. Everything. And so it's up to us to pick them out.
Exactly.
And so that's how I could answer you on that. I used to do past life regressions, and I did definitely a lot of family of origin regressions. And basically that family of origin stuff I had to retire because I'm an empath, and I was receiving all the things from the caregiver scripts, and a lot of them were pretty raunchy histories. And so I developed this autoimmune problem myself, because I thought I was protecting myself with the light, but still things can get in. Exactly. And I didn't know how to say no, and then I finally had to just retire from that. And I did that around 2009.
So what's the difference?
And then I developed it on a higher level that you didn't need the encounter bats, you didn't need the primal screen, you didn't need to do all that harsh stuff. You could just learn how to get to a higher dimensional level and trust in the self.
So what's the difference between that and past life regression?
Well, in a past life regression, I worked with David St. Clair for years all over the world. And he was a very famous author and reporter for Time and Life magazine, and also Brasil's Manchetti magazine, which was the sister company of Time and Life. And he gave the best past life regressions, and I helped him. And I was quite young, and I never felt like I could do it as good as he did, and I couldn't. And so he was fabulous. So I just kind of let that rest. But my own opinion about past life regressions is basically the individual can find out who they are themselves without being regressed. If you go to an alpha state of consciousness, or you can let yourself relax into things, and you can get them through your dreams. We have dreams every day, but we don't remember them very much. And they can give little vignettes, not whole stories, but just little bitty blurbs, little bitty happenings about another period of time or something that was happening. And that's how it is. But I believe in past life regressions, don't get me wrong. I just don't do them professionally. I teach people how to do them for themselves. And I think that the individual knows if they look around. And a lot of times I think there are other people, maybe some of their family, that have passed on, that have gone before the individual, and they want to get a message of who their loved one was still back on earth. So they send a sign or a symbol for that person to go searching, and they find it. And that's my belief in that. That's how I do it.
Wow. I kind of like that. 'Cause I've actually never been have done a past life regression yet.
Well, you probably can do it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I'm sure of it.
In fact, I know I
Look
have.
around. It's usually the places that we feel, the type of music that we're attracted to, where that music may have come from, the type of tradition, sometimes the dress, sometimes the way, and sometimes we can come in looking like some of those past lives where we were. We brought in some of the physical traits that we wanted to bring in, and we can look that way again. So, unless it's a karmic lesson and we can't or aren't allowed to from the higher realm.
Exactly.
But it's really true, you know.
We do actually have a caller in area code 914. And I think I know who that is. Yeah, we have a caller.
Hello. Hi. Hi, Karen. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Amanda. How are you doing tonight?
Fine. How are you?
Pretty good. A very interesting topic, especially when it comes to the past life regressions. I'm definitely learning a lot of information and different opinions on the fact. So I really, really do find this intriguing in so many different ways.
That's great. That means you're ready, and you can probably do it yourself. I was telling Katie about how I believe it's done. And, you know, I'll tell both of you, there's that little voice kind of in our solar plexus region, just below the sternum, that kind of speaks out in a, what do you call it, intuitive way to us, telling us where we were and what we like and what we want to look like or what we have are attracted to and so forth and so on. And those can be symbols and things that come from certain areas where we can start our first realization or recognition to one of our, we've all had so many past lives because we don't ever die.
Right, and I totally agree. I actually have many different abilities myself. I'm an empath. I'm also psychic, clairvoyant. Like I have a lot of different traits when it comes to mediumship and things like that. And I highly believe that when we make moves through different past lives, we leave a small piece of us behind. So that way, in our next life, we can connect to it. And that's because in many ways, I feel like we are being recycled. So it's not that we're ever dying. We're just moving to a next level, and we are restarting the process all over again. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way. Like I've always wondered, why do I have such a connection to places like Salem or Egypt? You know, this is when I was younger, before I had an awakening and understood my abilities and things that I can do. And the ideas that came to me were, how would I know these things if I was never there? You know, I grew up in New York. I never traveled anywhere. The farthest I traveled was to Washington, D.C. and back to New York. And that's about it. So how would I know these things? I've never been to Boston, but I've been through Massachusetts once before. But it came to me, the fact that the reason why I had these strong connections came to me in a dream when I asked myself this later in life. And it turns out that, you know, I was around during the Salem witch trials. I was actually a part of a coven. And this is why I had that strong tie to, you know, being someone with abilities and being somebody who had an extensive knowledge in the field of occult. And I didn't even study it. You know, I just knew these things. And this was what really intrigued me to start my educational journey into past lives and understanding it. And so it's really amazing how somebody can actually have all the answers that they've always been looking for if they just learn to, you know, reconnect with self. And unfortunately, not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, that's true. That's very good. That's exactly how you do it. And sometimes, if you were in Salem, you probably had some funny feelings when you were there too.
Oh, definitely. Like I knew for a fact, I have a very large circle of friends that the last caller is actually in my circle as well. But I do have a large circle of friends who have different abilities. We're very, very in tune with their gifts. And, it was good to hear a confirmation from another one and get that validation that, when I feel like, and I have these dreams of being hung at Salem, I actually, in my past life, and I never told her this, she said that I was hung and half my coven got away, and unfortunately I didn't get away. And that's why going forward in this life, I have such a strong belief in equality, and that's across the board. Whether you want to be a pagan, a Wiccan, you want to study Omnism, if you want to be a Christian, whatever it is, that is your personal belief, and we are all equal in one greater picture. It's just different terms we use for these spiritual journeys.
That's true. Absolutely.
So I think that's where I got connected to that,
Sure. And the Mother Earth and the natural process of plants and herbs and everything, animals, absolutely.
And that's what I have very, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, please.
Yes, I actually have a very strong connection with the animal kingdom myself. I'm a big advocate for them. I actually work with a lot of different exotic types. I mainly specialize in reptiles and birds. And when you're connected with these animals, you can connect to them on a whole different vibration if you allow yourself, and you open up to them and you start that relationship with them. And the best way, and you mentioned it earlier, which is really, really amazing, that so many people out there are hearing this today, because love is exactly what we need, and that's the missing connection that we all fail to connect with, both in the animal kingdom, forestries, and human even interaction. So with me, I am actually able to read animals and pretty much tell an owner what's going on within their animal's life, and it's truly amazing. Yeah,
because they'll talk to you. They will. They're just like we are too.
Exactly. And they don't know aggression the way we try to pin it on them as. They're not acting out in violence. They're not acting out because they just hate people. That's not the case at all. These animals are doing what's natural to them. They can't speak like we do, unfortunately, so they speak through behaviors. They speak through certain sounds. Even if they're happy, like with birds, if they're happy, they'll do like a beak grinding. Whereas when they're angry, they'll start fluffing their feathers so that they can look a little bigger. And when they're angry, it's not to say that they're angry at you. It's more of the fact that they're feeling threatened. So they're like, hey, can you leave me alone? Can you take a step back? So it's not in the sense of them just like, okay, I'm just going to attack you because I don't like people. So it really is like body language and, and their vocalization in, animals, they really are signs. And people, unfortunately, like I said, don't take the time to open their eyes and see these signs for what they are. These are communication and pretty much their way of showing and trying to connect with us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I agree. I think we need to take a lot of this money and help the animals myself that's going around. When I think about how all this big money is spent, why not save the animals? Why not free the cages? Why not free the rescue centers? My goodness. If I had it
right.
all. So absolutely. Well, maybe our energy talking about this is going out to make that happen. Maybe that's our contribution through our energies of talking about it, is reaching some kind of energy to help that.
Right, and that's exactly what I hope I'm doing every time I try to, convey or advocate for animals. There are so many unfortunate businesses, and I say unfortunate a lot because it's a lot of the times what happens is that it's misconceptions that everyone has. People are fallible. We are not in tuned. We are not constantly bettering our knowledge and things. So unfortunately, like I said, it happens to be the lack of knowledge and understanding that when it comes to animals, for preservation purposes, yes, I can understand that. To bring back a species, that's fine. But to do testing on animals, to do them for, do things with them that are unconventional and morally incorrect, really, really is upsetting because of the fact that these animals are a contributing factor to our world and to our earth. And they actually, same with the bees, the bug life, the insect life, they have come back and bloomed in these last few months that we were in lockdown. You're seeing dolphins come into the canals in Venice. You're seeing more bird populations that are the ones that were considered critical and, critically endangered to certain areas. You're seeing them just, slowly starting to resurface and appear. And that's that's one of the positive things that happened during this pandemic. This pandemic is not, I don't like to look at it in the negative because I have lost a few people because of it, and it's a very real thing. But we have to remain positive, and we have to work towards the light. And in doing so, we have to recognize the things that have happened. The world itself has been healing. The ozone is clearing up. Animals are flourishing. Plant life is flourishing. The actual farm industry and the slaughterhouses, unfortunately, are failing because nobody is really out buying these things, and so less and less animals are being taken for improper slaughter and things like that. But
that's a good
thing. It's just really yeah, exactly, and it's just a real misconception that people have in general that they feel this is what we need to do to survive. This is not what we need to do to survive. We don't have to torture, maim, or eradicate the animal world and the in the forestry world. No, we have to preserve this for our future children and our future people that are going to be us when we get reincarnated, in a sense. We need to preserve these things. And with that being said, it's really important to advocate in so many different ways on so many different levels, but in a positive way, not in a hateful, terroristic way, and by no means.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are a lot of people who we have to change the hate and the anger to love.
And that's why I chose during the COVID-19. Yeah, I mean, I did get a little sarcastic because there was some awesome memes out there. But at the same time, what's a little humor? If we're all laughing together about the one thing, it may be a form of insecurity, but if we're still laughing, at least we're acting as if we're a community, and we're we know what's on the back burner, but we're still there laughing. We've still got a sense of humor. We're still happy in our own rights, and still when we have that sense of community, we can love each other through that laughter, through that humor, and it's a way of coping. It's a way of coping. And Karen, if you don't know that, Amanda is actually my co-host on my other show.
Oh, great. That's wonderful.
We're both in the field
I
of
could
psychology.
tell that she's very knowledgeable and very involved. That's super. Y'all do a great show, I'm sure.
Thank you. Well, it's actually been proving that healing is pretty much compatible with love and laughter. The more you love, the more you laugh, the more you have that faith in everything, in a sense. I'm not talking about just in humanity, but faith that, the sun is going to rise tomorrow and it's going to be a better day. Faith in whomever you want to call the creator. I refer to him as God. Others might refer to him as something else. As long as you have that, that promotes healthy healing. We have that capability to heal ourselves through that. When we're coarse and upset and we're hate-filled and just driven by our own obsessions and angers and feelings, pretty much all of the emotions that we exhibit when we're just not right mentally, in a sense, because we're suffering through these hardships, we are actually creating more of that feeling of suffocation, that feeling of underdevelopment. We can't grow, we can't heal together if we don't do these things. So humor actually plays a big role in it. That generates a smile, which generates a better emotion, a positive emotion.
It's raising the consciousness to have vibrate at a higher frequency. And that's why I refused, when COVID-19 actually hit, I refused to play a part of the politics. I read it, but I don't go and promote it. And I won't do it. And it's because it has its own time and place. It's not going to help the human psyche in terms of progression, growth, and finding our place and finding ourselves and what we're supposed to be doing and where we're supposed to be going and what the next step forward is. Because like I said at the beginning of the show,
well, you don't let yourself attach to it, which is great.
Exactly.
Nor do I.
It's so that we can put our next foot forward, because like I said, there are many people out there that are losing their jobs. There are many people out there that are losing their homes. There are many people out there that just don't have the financial support now to support themselves, let alone their families. And I think that's, there's a lot of men out there that are breadwinners to the household in a traditional sense, and they are sitting there beside themselves because now they're like, well, what do I do about my wife? What do I do about my kids? What do I? And there are many people who are committing suicide over the fact that they're just done. They are literally done. They do not have, and see, we're not taught. There are a lot of, don't get me wrong, I can only speak for a woman, but there are a lot of women out there that have gone through highly traumatic experiences. But with the progress that they've had in terms of seeking treatment and therapy and so on and so forth, they have been able to tap into their coping skills, their resilience, to become stronger people. Now, the majority of people who do live in society these days do not have those coping skills, that resilience that is required to adapt and to learn how to quickly evolve themselves in today's climate. And that in itself is resulting to a hell of a lot of emotion that is fueled by purely just by rage and anger. I mean, I live in Washington, D.C. There've been riots here. There've been looting. There's been fires. There's been everything, you name it. And, of course, I'm sitting in my house going, well, I wish I could go out there because I want to help those people because, that it's the empath in me. But at the end of the day, I'm sitting there going, well, now I'm going to be fearing for my own security and my safety because I have to be at home looking after my family to make sure that they are safe and out of harm's way from the people that are destroying what is a great thing. It doesn't matter what the opinion or belief of or political opinion of anybody is. The fact of the matter is that we all are driven by emotion right now. And
right. You have to know that your energy field, which is so evolved and out there, and so is it Amanda's too, it contributes without you physically being there.
Exactly.
You can send those energies out there just by visualizing what's going on, and those energies will help out, probably more than if we were there in person. I know I have been focused so much on the frontliners, having been in the medical field in the beginning of this COVID thing, and I had one to call yesterday, call Derek, and one from up there, and wanted some help. So I'm sure that he came in on my energy field in some way, and I don't know where he found me. I haven't talked to him yet. But that works because we're all energy blended with our surroundings and everything.
But the
You
other
see,
thing,
with the media itself, it's okay for people to be informed with the media, and it's really noble of them to explain what's going on in the world and showing that these people are healthcare providers, are on the front lines. But the thing is that they don't understand that when they're promoting this and they're showing the numbers and they're showing all this negative stuff, the press, unfortunately affects the wellness and the overall emotional well-being of everybody across the world. And it threatens and causes burnout of men and women globally because of this pandemic. And like I said, because of what's going on, everybody wants to be informed. And they don't understand that it's okay to not know everything. And it's okay to feel afraid. It's okay to feel that your life is being threatened and your family. It's okay these are all normal emotions for such a hard and scary time right now. That's why they call it a pandemic. But this has taken place several years ago. This is something that as a human race and as a human species, we have learned to adapt to from the beginning of time. There's been many bacteria, viruses, and things that happen throughout history and time. And this is something that these things actually claim. They claim the lives of people and animals. And with the negative press coverage and things on social media, accompanied with people's emotions, this leads to a lot of the burnout that we're seeing. This leads to the aggression we're seeing, the hate. This is a combination of wanting what's right, but this is also a platform to express a lot of those feelings in the rioting. So I feel like with the rioting, they have a validated point. See, everybody says, with all lives matter, that shouldn't exist, but all lives matter. And it doesn't mean I'm talking about people. I'm talking about everything from the top of the sky to the bottom of the earth. I'm talking about everything in this planet matters. It's not about one person or the next. It's not about color. It's about what we choose to do with this. How do we choose to go forward to make it better? Equality is such a big thing. People are preaching for it, but unfortunately, people still see color. They do not want to see people for people. The thing is that many people don't understand. If they actually take a chance and express and explore the unknown, I'm talking about look into history about a lot of these facts, they would see where this issue took place, where division of color, division of people. But what they would really find, if they go way back into time, they will find that we all evolved into Homo sapiens from different primate species, and we all evolved from Africa. We all came from there. That was where we all came from.
We sure
biologically. Yeah, this is where we come from. Mm-hmm. And people decided that they were going to separate themselves and create hierarchies and things like that, when all of this is really a man-made concept. The world, the earth, it doesn't understand any of this. So by people destroying, making wildfires, doing all this stuff, whatever they're doing, this is not conducive to what they're trying to get across. It does show a validated, thing that's going on here, that this is still a big, big problem in the world today, which is race and division. But the rioting, I don't agree with. I don't agree with that. To me, rioting is a force of terrorism. You're terrorizing other people. You are creating such havoc that nobody wants to listen to you. Now they're looking at you as terrorists. They're not looking at you as advocates. And that's what we got to understand. We all have that power to advocate for change and create a platform where we can promote that change. It doesn't have to result to violence, police officers being murdered, or, you know, one race against the next. All lives matter. And when there's one particular part of those all lives that are not being treated equally, then what happens is we create a platform where this stuff happens and transpires. And it's such a sad thing because my children are multicultural. They are mixed, and their skin is dark, they're beautiful. And I come from, you know, people don't understand, you know, the skin color or your texture of your hair does not define you as a person at all. Those are stereotypes. Those are man-made concepts. Those are things that we created. So if we all set that mindset to not see it as that anymore, there is a very, very high chance that we can move forward and unite as people like we should, back when we evolved.
When everything was a community.
Right, exactly. And media, unfortunately, and this is why I went on this rant, media, unfortunately, and social media play into this so much that it creates a bigger gap. They pretty much promote all the negative and not the positive. And even with Disney, people don't understand what we allow our children to watch really plays a factor in their development. Childhood development, you know, we're teaching these children how to go forward in life. And when we're putting these things in their head with such things as racism, you know, and depending on the family you're coming from, saying that one race is higher than the next, or we're putting these things that men are better than women, you know, these negative things that we are given, these negative subliminal messages that we are implanting in children's heads, growing up, they hang on to these things, and then they start fearing these things, which then fear brings on the feeling of that fight or flight feeling. Well, it's either I'm going to have to fight or I'm going to have to run away from it. So they don't understand that emotional feelings that follow that fight or flight. And like I said, with Disney, you know, I was just watching it the other day, Sleeping Beauty. You know, the Sleeping Beauty herself is only like 14, 15 years old. The Prince Charming is a lot older than her. You know what I mean? And he comes and saves her with a kiss. Now, when you look at this could be taken in so many different ways. You know, and then you're looking at the villain who gets pretty much killed by Prince Charming. So that's promoting violence in so many ways. So it's really how we raise our youth and help them when they inquire about these things in the positive and stay away from the negative. That only then can we start moving in that direction. It's not going to do it for us. And that's what people don't understand. We have to all promote it. And this is why I always teach my children that color does not exist. Even though there's people out there that would say, oh, it's bullshit, Amanda, it does exist. But it really does not exist. When you look at it from a psychological standpoint, the first thing you learn in intro to psychology is that everything is an illusion in so many ways, shape, or form. It is how we perceive that illusion and how we plan on moving forward with that illusion that makes us either break or succeed. So, I mean, it's just an unfortunate time, and with the pandemic and the riots, all this negative that's happening in the world, this is why the light workers are all coming out to get together. And if more of us come out and we start promoting love, light, happiness, you know, I think that, like I said, people can start understanding that concept. But if we approach it and say, oh, well, I'm you know, I have special abilities, I'm psychic. No, we have to approach it from a therapeutic standpoint. That's how we have to approach these matters in order, you know, to promote change. But we're all capable of change. It's whether or not we want to change. And that's up to each and every one of us.
I think that's
Exactly.
true.
Exactly.
I think some people, that was very beautiful. I think some people don't know how to do that. Do you? They're scared to take the walk.
Well, I know
Right.
from,
And I'm sorry, Katie.
that's all right. I know
Go
from
ahead,
my it's fine. But from my standpoint, though, I walk my walk, and I talk what I talk. I mean, and I mean it, because I don't see. I see myself as living an authentic life, and an honest one too. Yeah. Yeah, I'm flawed, but the thing is that most of us are flawed, and we don't even with or without this pandemic, regardless of the fact, those flaws that we have, we still don't even know how to work on them. So how are we supposed to, if we can't work on our flaws, then how are we supposed to work on what's going on right now?
Right. That's true.
We're kind of piling on all of this
and
stuff.
with that, I think that with that being said, that people are afraid to work on themselves because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of not being accepted. They're afraid of the fact that, going to a therapist will pretty much discredit.
Well, they're afraid, just
Mental
afraid
health
in general.
Sorry.
They're afraid in general, and that's why I said before about the rising rates of suicide. The fact that it's just astounding that that there are so many people out there that are just they either think that they're hard done by, and that's just a self perspective, or they think that they've been hard done by everybody else, therefore it's leading themselves into a trap, a complete trap. So, and they don't know how to get themselves out of that trap, and so they're in their own prison of consciousness.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is. When you go and you acknowledge the first part of anybody having any type of issue is to acknowledge you have it and have self-awareness of self. Once you do that, then you can start moving in that right direction. But that's not how it's taught to us. It's taught, be quiet, don't say nothing, don't tell anybody your problems, keep it, what stays at home, what happens in the house stays in the house, and that's not okay. We cannot mentally sometimes or emotionally deal with a lot of the stressors. Look at people being abused sexually, physically, emotionally. They have no way out of it, they feel. So they feel that the only thing is actual suicide. And unfortunately, because of so many negative stereotypes we have in this world, people, don't want to change. And see, with me, people honestly can't tell, but me personally, I have a very short temper. As a young kid, I had a very, very, very short temper. And the only way that I was able to work on me and change my perspective was acknowledging that I had this issue, acknowledging that this is not who I want and this does not define me. So how do I become a balanced individual? So I started on my journey of looking into my faith, looking into my psychic awareness, looking into my overall self, and I started taking time to connect with me. I actually had the chance to work with a Himalayan monk, and he helped me to meditate for the first time. Now, I didn't think I was capable of it, and he helped me to do that. And that's the thing. People have such a big problem with stigmatizing individuals who are a little bit different. There is no normal. That's what people also don't understand. There is no normal. If you claim that you're normal, well, you're part of the problem. You're not helping. You're a person. You are a emotional being. It's just a stereotype. It's just a word. It's just a stigma that we place on these people, and we don't help them in need, and they don't feel like they have an outlet that they can go to. And a lot of it is too is that in general, financially, people can't afford that health care. You know, they can't. So they do other things. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to alcohol. Some people turn to violence. And it's so, so sad that we have the ability to help, you know, and we don't. And, you know, we can't help everybody, no, because it has to be that person who decides they want to be helped. And with all these stigmatism, I feel like it's hard for them to understand that. So it's just one of those unfortunate things that if we don't start acknowledging ourself and our battles that we struggle with, we can't evolve as a human race either, because we're going to be stuck in that mindset, that those stigmatism, those labels. And that's another thing. The labels that people unfortunately are given is another thing. You know, if you have a child, no child is bad at all. Unfortunately, when you tell a child you are bad, you are horrible, you're being a troublemaker, you know, that child unfortunately starts to believe there's something wrong with them. They don't understand that what they were doing is creating that label. They just know that they're bad. So now they're going to start portraying and manifesting that behavior because that's the way they're getting the attention that they're requiring. No, a lot of parents don't take the time to sit down and speak to the child and explain to them, hey, we don't do that because that's not very nice. And then when they get older, start putting details to why it's not being nice. You know, we don't do that because you can hurt somebody or you can hurt yourself, and we don't want that. You know, we want to make sure that you're okay. So, you know, don't climb on that, okay? If we do that, then, you know, it could really change. And even if we do that with adults need reassurance too. You know, a lot of adults are very still much immature or not developed, or just unfortunately don't have that platform to speak. And that's what, you know, is an unfortunate thing.
Exactly.
That's
And
true.
were you going to say something then, Karen?
I think that was very beautifully said. Yeah.
Well, with that said, we're going to hit a break. We're well over the break time, but anyway. But I'm going to hit a break so that everyone can get a glass of water or whatever they want, and we'll come back in about 7 minutes, and we'll continue the conversation. Karen, I would love to talk to you about your contactee experience after the break, if that's okay with you.
That'd be wonderful. I would enjoy that.
Absolutely.
I think we're all doing great.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll be back. You are listening to Soma Fusion with your host, Katie Kamara, with your special guest, Karen Gresham NICKELL tonight. We are talking all about hypnotherapy, spiritual, psychic energy, and of course, we're going to be talking about, after the break, Karen's contactee experience. With that said, we'll be back.
Just a trick of light to bring me back around again. Those wild eyes, a psychedelic silhouette. I never meant to fall for you, but I was buried underneath, and all that I could see was white. My salvation. My salvation, You are the snowstorm, I'm purified. The darkest fairy tale in the dead of salvation, my salvation,
Welcome back. You are listening to Soma Fusion Radio with your host, Katie Kamara, and we are talking all about hypnotherapy or clinical hypnotherapy with our guest, Karen Gresham NICKELL. And with that said, I do want to remind people too that you can contact me on social media or go to my website, soma-fusion.com or somafusionmedia.com. And for those who are listening out there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share out this show, because I think it's important for the world to know what we are learning each week, and so that you can invite them to listen exclusively with us. And of course, I do have my Soma Fusion Academy for anybody who's interested in learning about personal growth and taking on the challenges and the courses that I offer through Soma Fusion. With that said, we will bring back on the guest, and I would like to talk to Karen about her contact, the contact that she had with whatever she had. Now, Karen, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. I would love to know what your contact experience was all about, and who was it with?
Well, I've had many. In fact, I've lived my life with it since I was in my 20s, and had my first experience. I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I was in bed and looking in the mirror in my room, and there was a little being looking at himself in the mirror of my vanity, and he looked like a child, and he was really interested in the way he was looking, and I was scared to death, and I screamed. And so my mother came in, and she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, I just saw a little person there, and he was looking at himself." She said, "You just had a bad dream. Just go back to sleep. Everything's going to be wonderful." And so at the same time she was opening the door, he slipped into another dimension. So he was out and she was in. And so I never told anybody for a long time until I got into the ufology. And I kind of got into that whenever I was about 28. But I didn't have time to really pursue it because I was on 2 other projects in Brazil and Italy that didn't involve ufology. And so I was going to go to Switzerland, and a friend and I were going to go to Switzerland and see Billy Meyer. But we just didn't, I didn't have enough time. And so then I got into it when Stephenville Lights happened. Well, I was always in it, but never to the intensity except it was in 2009. Are you familiar with Stephenville Lights and Phoenix Lights and
Yes, I
all of
am.
that?
Yes.
So I worked for a lot of CEOs at the time with their people, and I had to be somewhat conservative. And uh, when it happened in 2009, uh, I heard it on the news, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is close to where I grew up. I've got to go down there. And, and so my CPA called and he talked to Robert and he said, don't let her go down there, please. And he called the name of the person I was working with and said, he will not really be into this at all. And he said, I think I can do it, but I'm not sure. And so Robert said, look, he said, you can't do this too. And then he called the guy's name that I was working for. He said, because he won't like it. And he said, let me tell you one thing. He said, if the mountain is supposed to come to you, it will. You don't need to go to the mountain. And I said, well, that sounds good. And so I just took his advice and did what he said. And so in 2012, the mountain did come to me. And one of my students got back from a Unity session, a Unity service, came in, and she said, guess what? She said, there's a UFO convention in Glen Rose, and it's about Stephenville Lights. I said, are you kidding me? She said, no. I said, well, let's call up and make reservations right now. And because I like to do things immediately. I don't like to wait for anything. So we called, and Paula was on the phone. And since I had lived in Italy, I knew some Italian, and we talked and spoke a little Italian. And she said, sure. She said, I will put you all down. She said, by the way, the hypnotherapist that's supposed to be coming can't come, and you're going to be one of my speakers. I said, oh my gosh, no. I said, I can't. I said, I've never spoken in front of that many people before. And I was petrified. But I did. I told her I would, and I did. And she said, I'll do it for you. And she literally had to do it for me. She taught me how to speak. And so we had a beautiful, that was the first one of Starworks USA. That was done in 2012, and we all met, and I interviewed some of the people down there, the kids who had actually seen the ships, and there was supposedly a mothership that was in the day, like over some areas, and it was out there in front for everybody to see. I wasn't there, I never saw it, but I knew the people who did, and so it just went from there. And I learned more and more about it, more and more synchronicities, more and more symbols became more intense. They started fitting more, and I came to realize that they were all right here among us, and they had come in and had been coming in for thousands of years. And so that's how I got into that. But before that, and I'm going to backtrack to 1989, I was invited by a group of doctors in Wytheville, Virginia, and to go to their clinic and work for 3 months. And they wanted me to interview the coal miners because the psychiatrist said she didn't think they were delusional, but she saw too much of a strange thing. Would I come? And I said, sure, I'll be glad to come. And that's before Robert and I had gotten back together, and I was free and I could do that. And so I stayed there for 3 months, living in a dormitory attached to the clinic, and worked with these guys every day. And I promise you, what they would tell me was so beautiful when they would go and empty the trash, and they would see this object over their trash in the backyard with lights, different colored lights going really fast. And then they felt this sensation of love, but they were scared. They didn't know why they were scared. And what did I think? And they went into more detail, and there were many stories, but they were all pretty much similar. And so I told her, I said, I don't think they're hallucinating at all. I think there's something here. Well, later I found out that the CIA had been really combing those grounds in that territory for quite some time because it was known. It was in Wytheville, and a book was written by it. It's a little paperback book called Don't Look Up. And it went on for a good while. And I stayed there. It was a real important time in my life because I wasn't really developed ufologically at that time until that happened. And then I just went and got more and more acquainted with incidents and so forth and so on. And that was great. I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the people. The people were so honest. I mean, they were really asking for help and asking for information. And I was taking notes and, repeating it back to the doctors. And so they were fine. They were very healthy. They were not hallucinating or in some kind of fantasy world. It was real. And so after that happened, I came back to Dallas. And for about 1 year, I was followed by a little white car with dark windows. And I lived in a high rise on Northwest Highway in Dallas. It was it was furnished because everything I had was always in storage. And every time I would get and go in my car, I would get out on the street and that little car would just follow me. And then after a period of time, nothing ever happened. And it finally stopped after a while. So that's my story on that one.
So when you talk about contactee, do you know who you contacted?
Do I know who was contacting?
Yeah.
That was not a contactee. That was an earth plane, more like conventional, where I was trying to help these doctors find out if their patients were okay.
Okay.
And I didn't see a UFO or anything like that then.
Okay.
After that, I saw a lot.
Okay. Do you think that from that situation,
Well, I was probably
tapped into?
called there for a reason. I was everything was a preparation probably for me, and my ability as a paranormal empath, because that I had, and so maybe that's why I was chosen. After that, Robert and I did a lot of exploring and had a lot of situations with ETs, and for sure. And one of them was when we took a trip to Area 51. That now they have an Area 52, and they have a lot of them. But that was very interesting. That's when we realized that we were being connected with a lot of people who were maybe hybrids.
Okay.
Or UFO ETs who had shape-shifted into human form. They can do that. And so that was a big experience with that. It's been real hard for me to tell this because I've been in the clinical for so long, and now everybody for sure thinks I'm weird. So it's, at my age, I don't mind. I'll just go ahead and do it. So that's maybe why I'm a little held back a little bit, or my tone.
Yeah, no,
makes
by
it a
all
little,
means. But
it's been hard to do that, believe me. I'm to the point where I don't care anymore. But we did find these, and we started out, the biggest one, I think, was at Area 51. And we had left Las Vegas. This was after a symposium. We had left Las Vegas too late, really. It was 3 hours from Las Vegas to Rachel, Nevada. And so I told him, I said, we can't go back home without going to Area 51. He said, well, it's late. And I said, well, we have to. And he said, okay, we will. And so we went out there, and it was sundown. I mean, the sun was still there. The clouds looked like spaceships. There was nobody there. It was beautiful terrain, a lot of hills, a lot of really, we may have seen one car. And we got to this little place, which everybody knows, the Little Alien. It looks like a little mobile car, a little trailer. And they had people stayed there, I assume, and it was like a hamburger place. And so we walked in, and Robert was getting directions on how we get to the Area 51. And they said, well, there's a little gravel road right by the side of the restaurant. And so he was writing all this down, and finished the meal, and he went up to pay, and I said, well, I want to look at some t-shirts, and he said, well, I'm going to be in the car. He said, just come out when you're done. And so Robert, when he graduated from Texas A&M, he went to he worked for the Air Force in an international airport we have in Texas called Bergstrom, and then he worked in another one in Houston called Ellington. uh, so there was a lot of military connection with him. And so when I finished buying the t-shirts, I was leaving. I said, "Does he really know how to get out there?" She said, "Yes, it's just to the side of the restaurant here. It's like Bergstrom." I said, "What?" She said, "It's like Bergstrom." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I paid for the t-shirts and walked out. And I said, You have no idea what was just said to me." He said, "What happened?" And I said, "Well, I asked if for sure we were going to get down the road right." And they said, "Yes, it's just like Bergstrom." He looked at me. He said, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "No, it's true. That was said to me. That's why I'm acting like this." And I said, either they read our license plates and they wondered why a bunch of people were going down there at this time of night, or they're ETs. I said, "Which one is it, do you think?" He said, "Well, I don't think they were human." He said, "I didn't from the time we walked in and were eating the hamburger." He said, "They looked different, quite different." He said, "I think they were ETs." And then later I've had somebody who knew of that experience, and she confirmed that yes, they were. And so they told us that we had to go like not over 25 miles an hour on the rocks, and that there would be animals crossing. We would be careful of them. They said, "But don't be scared if you see a white car with black tinted windows." And so they said that. We saw that. We got out, and we were standing in front of it. Now, supposedly, if you stepped over the red line, they would come and get you in a helicopter and seize your car, and you would pay an enormous fine and no telling what.
Yeah.
So, and also they had guns pointed at you. That's what they said. So I told Robert I wanted to get out of the car and take some pictures. He said, "Well, you can see it from here." And I said, "Well, I want to go up and see it." He said, "Well, please don't go over the red line." And I said, "I won't, believe me." So I had my iPhone and a camera. So I took these pictures, and there were some dots on them. And Derek, my manager, he said he's been in the military and he fought in Afghanistan, and he had a troop of 20 under him, and he was talking. He just loves these pictures. And I said, "Well, it looks like." I said, "It looks like something's pointed at me. What do you think?" He said, "No, there's nothing pointed at you." He said, "This isn't from here." And I said, "Wow." He said, "I think they're ETs." And he said, "Look at this. Did you know you had a video on this thing?" And I said, "No, this was just last week." I didn't even realize that I had a little video that was maybe 2 minutes long. He said, "Well, I advise you to never show that video, because if you do, you're going to have people knocking at your door and you won't see that anymore." And I said, "Okay, well, I won't. And I'm glad you saw it where I knew I had it." So that was huge. And it was very exciting, and we both had a lot of fun, and we were quite interested in it. Now, the person who told me about Area 51 had actually worked inside Area 51 and underground, and she told a lot. And so that was another experience I've had. But I have a lot of them during the day where I feel that they're with me. And I don't know what race, I don't know what species. I know they're of the light of the higher love and higher spirit of the divine spirit of love. I never have gotten a negative feeling or a scared feeling of any of the races with their own agendas. I've never experienced that.
Okay. I did actually look into mine. I am Arcturian.
Oh, yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, the, Arcturian's is a very beautiful race. Now,
What?
just recently, there was an article in the news about the different alien races that are out there, and it's now been counted that there are 36 alien races.
56. What?
36.
I think we have a chop of the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
36 alien races.
Oh, okay.
So they're like I said at the beginning of the show, we're going into this age of disclosure. So people like me to that doesn't come without discernment, but that also makes me open to more to look into other things.
No,
not
you
just
can
what
hear.
we've been.
I'm in a building where the Wi-Fi is not very good, and
No.
about this time of the night we can chop off. So we'll come back in, but we'll come and go. Can you just let me know if you can't hear me?
No, absolutely. I'm actually having trouble on my end. We've got massive thunderstorms going on for the next until
wow.
Tuesday next week. So, yeah, we've been going in and out of broadcast. So for the listeners out there, because of the choppiness of the video production that we're having, there may be I may have to put everything together. So don't worry if you wait at least 24 hours. Pardon?
Yeah. There may be other influences too.
Yeah, probably. At this point, your guess is as good as mine, because you know what? On Sunday when I had Dr. Louis Turi on, he's a heavily targeted man. I mean, this guy he's a very good friend of mine. He's been visited by the FBI in his house twice. And that's because he does Nostradamus predictions.
Uh-huh.
And so he's done predictions on 9/11 and all sorts of stuff. So, but that's the thing, is that when we first of all, before I was going to say that, but on Sunday we had a whole heap of choppiness as well, and we got cut off 4.5 minutes into the stream.
Well, that's probably
completely cut off.
Yeah.
So I had to redo an entire archive in order to, in order for the listeners to hear the whole show, because they only heard the opening song,
Yeah.
which is all good,
Well,
it doesn't bother me.
Their energies are different in a higher range than ours, and I think that's one of the reasons that they're not ready to come in yet, because of the frequencies
Well,
aren't
see,
high
that's the
enough
thing, is
to
that
where it will be not harmful to either race, the human or the extraterrestrial.
But that's,
among other things.
well, that's the thing, is that we are going into the age of disclosure and that. And so there's a lot of people out there. I remember, go back into the 1970s, people were building bunkers in order to save themselves from an alien invasion, like that whole paranoia phase. Now we come in peace, like, take me, abduct me, beam me up, Scotty, kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I know. And, we had a disclosure in May of 2013 when Paul Hellyer and a group of people went to the White House. And it's called UFO Disclosure 2013. And Paul Hellyer was the Minister of Defense of Canada. And it was wonderful being at a symposium with him. That's when I did my music, and I presented also there. And he's a very brilliant man. He was almost 90 then, and he's still wonderful, in perfect shape. Mm-hmm. But I think that we're coming really close to where it's just opening out in front of everybody. I agree with you.
Yeah. And that's why I was going to say earlier when you were talking, like, you shouldn't be afraid. I mean, yes, you do come from a clinical background, but with psychology, especially in the field of psychology is so broad now that it goes into all sorts of stuff. Right from
what part of the United States you live in.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not afraid. I just hate to, it's kind of disappointing but then I have to go ahead and do what I have to do. I guess I want to be liked by both sides, and it's not going to work that way down here.
Yeah.
because they're not ready. Now, in New York, in Washington, in California, in the Southwest, it's a totally different story.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different.
And that's why it's great for shows like this, because we explore everything. It's not restricted to one thing. It's pretty much freedom of speech. You can have your own. Everyone's entitled to their own experiences.
Now, in Houston, they're really big.
Mm-hmm.
They're bigger on it because whenever I was working there at MD Anderson with Robert, and I did a procedure to help him with a doctor and a spinal tap, and he wanted to do it in the room, and I said, great. I said, can we have music or maybe television? This was on a Friday when Ancient Aliens was on. He said, oh, sure. And I thought, okay, I'll set up my little plan. And so we did this, and he kept looking up at Ancient Aliens. I said, do you like that? And he said, oh, yes. He said, I firmly believe in every bit of it. And I said, I know y'all do a lot of work with NASA on things. And he said, yes. And I said, that's all I said, because I knew I wasn't supposed to say any more. And so when he finished the procedure, he was from India.
Mm-hmm.
And when we finished the procedure, he asked me if I would grab his hand, his arm, and he would grab my arm, and we would seal the energy field, the electromagnetic field of Robert after he had his spinal tap. And I said, wow. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I'm totally interested in everything. And we incorporate this quietly here in this group. And I said, oh, I thought so. So that's good. I can't say all of Texas is like that because down there they really open.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also right there by Clear Lake where NASA is. So
Yeah, exactly.
but up there and where you are and in other places, it is more so, especially in the Southwest, California and Arizona, and Nevada and Utah. But I think I don't think it makes any difference where you are as much as how much you're going to open up and say.
Exactly.
And what you're going to share. And then it's up to the individual. And right now I'm doing it more and more.
You're slowly opening up.
Well, at the symposiums, I speak up like I'm speaking here. And when I do my work with my students, I don't hold back. But just, people who know me as a friend or just walking around in the building, I don't open this up.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't. Because there are a lot of people who look down on it or think you're crazy and I like to be calm in my little community here in this building. So, and that's the way it is. But I think a lot more, and people do not ask questions about where to go or where they're going to go or, after life. They stay in a little cocoon, and that's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people in our world are coming out from that, like people like you who are empathic, who are teaching, who are healing your audience and healing and having this beautiful show. And people like your host, Amanda, and all of these people and many, many more. We've really come here to do this. And now is the time. And I still think that we can make this work and have a beautiful planet again.
I believe so too, but it takes one to know one because once we start opening up and we have the ripple effect going on, you're always going to get somebody that's going to talk negative. That's why I do what I do, because I like that stuff, because I am my own person.
More, and that's interesting you said that. That's so true. In the paranormal field and the ufology field, people need to really support each other.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having the egos or this realm, we can't do that because we're helping the others to go away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big one on that one because there's enough for everybody. We have God knows how many people out there to help and to awaken in some way. We have a lot of load.
I know I have a lot of energy to give in terms of the love that I can give through healing humanity at large. But the thing is that that makes me susceptible for people who think that I have this wicked idea of opportunity, put it that way. But the thing is, it only takes one person, and it's the one person that you least expect thinks that you least expect that goes ahead and changes the world.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's amazing.
So, I was going to ask you too. I was talking about altered states of consciousness. Do you think that it wouldn't be too far fetched to some people that have experienced contact to be in an altered state of consciousness?
Oh, definitely. I think there are many degrees of altered state. They can be just relaxed. Uh, to achieve the altered state of consciousness or to achieve contact from either beings or extraterrestrials. Which one was it? Or both, maybe? Were you asking about both or just
Both.
both? Okay. I think basically it's not that hard to try. It's all real simple. If they go to a meditative state and they can count themselves down to the alpha level and they can pick any number they want, I always pick 20, and slowly go down and listen to a sound of music that relaxes them. And then they can see, first of all, they have to accept that they are the architect of their theater. They have to trust that. And all of the programming we've come up to so far, by the way we came in, who we had our peers surrounding us, how we were raised, and so forth, was totally separate from that. So we had to encounter it through another way, either through a hurt or an experience that brought up emotion in our young life, or any part of our life when it was time for us to open those consciousness levels and want to go deep and want to design our life as we chose to and believe that we could. It's like that little video on those two little girls. We have to believe it, and it seems so simple, but the reason we don't do it or we can't get the results is because we don't trust ourselves. So we have to develop a lot of the interactions with the signs, the symbols, and the synchronicities that give us the feedback that what we were doing was right. That was their answer. Somebody was hearing us, which elevates the trust level within ourselves. And then beautiful, magical things can happen, and we can become what we desire to be. Because I am is the us. I am is the God is within us. It's not separate from us. We have to pull that in and believe that and know that we are of the light and keep traveling through and learning and getting the signals and the signs. We're all looking for signals and signs every day. I am. And I believe that anybody can do this. It's a gift maybe when we come in, we're young and we have it, but anybody can learn to do this if they're a pioneer and if they're forcefully go forward with it.
And for those people who say that they can't go into, let's just say, use meditation as an example. For those people that say that they can't get into a meditative state because the world is too noisy for them, how would you go about telling them how to go into that state so that they can experience silence?
Well, at that time, they probably need some help if they're with maybe going through the stressors of our planet now to learn how. And it can be from something they need to share, to get out, just to tell somebody, to relieve that from what they're carrying in their physical body, where they can understand more. The more people understand, and I think visual is our best teacher. I know that there are a lot of different videos out there to watch There are some that show the DNA structure in the brain and the mind and how it works, and what our brain is and what it looks like and what it can do. It's soothing to understand that this is how it works, and then they can just relax and just not try to do anything but ask for something. Ask God, ask their angel, or whomever they go to of the higher level of love to help them, assist them in achieving that trust in the higher self. And the higher self is the part of them. And it just takes time because, when people came in, we came into a history of, we landed with people who shared their rules and where they saw we were babies. And then we go forward with that. Some people go forward and stay like that. And some people come to a time, usually brought on by an emotion or a feeling, where they want to wake up, or it's time for that higher self and divine self to kick in, to start to learn. That's my opinion.
Wow. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
very much.
very, very welcome.
But you know what? I have never known anybody who is an empath or have psychic abilities like yourself and me and Amanda and others who didn't have a heavy road in the beginning.
That I would agree with.
And that's the truth. They weren't prom queens, and they weren't, they didn't win a prize when they were little. But they did win them when they got older on their pathway. They saw miracles.
And that in itself instills the hope, or actually instills and restores the faith in humanity. The hope, faith, and love in humanity. And that is why we continually do what we do on a daily basis, because it's not just because we love it, it's because we're innately drawn to it. And
Right.
we've had to learn and grow and take the opportunity to heal our own wounds in order to become mature enough to do what we do with wholeheartedly
Right.
and accept it.
As we were talking, I noticed that both of us, I could read your energy and I could read mine. We were seeing a vision as we were talking, and they were blended together. So you have such a beautiful show that produces such a beautiful energy of sound, Katie. And I felt that we had reached out to a lot of people in the Northeast that we'll never know about, but our electromagnetic fields went way out. And Amanda's too.
I would agree with that too.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
And
It's
so,
wonderful.
because I know that we have to wrap up the show, I will be having a little after show as well. So Amanda, continue to hold on the line there for me. But if you had to give a one word or a statement to humanity, what would you say?
Love. That's it.
Just love. I like that too.
Love for everything, and be grateful to, if you see a petal of a flower, just look at it and think, what a beautiful creation.
Wow.
And let's go help the animals now, especially the dogs. I'm a big dog helper, and I wished I had the way to do it, big way. But you know what? Maybe we're doing it. Because some energy, some space, in some place has heard that, and they're working on that. Because now, during these times, the dogs go in and they work in hospitals, they work in nursing homes, and they work for people that are in their house and hunkered up and, locked up, whatever, in quarantine. So they have their beautiful little parts. I have a student who has a dog company. It's called Fido Fundamentals. She's very successful. And I've worked with her for years. And she's a big one who helps all animals. And yeah. So I had to add that. So I say love and animals.
I completely agree with you because I absolutely love animals. I actually wish. I mean, I used to have a dog in the family home that I was living. Now I don't have a dog, and it's like I'm missing something now. I love dogs. I'm a dog lover.
I know. We all do. They're so sweet. They're unconditional angels.
Yes, they are. They're man's best friend.
They really
they're
are.
natural healers in themselves.
Yeah, right. It's true.
But with that said, Karen, can you please plug all of your stuff in? So where can we find you? What kind of services do you offer to the public, and so on and so forth?
Okay, well, I do the energy readings, which is anybody can call me at 214-521-0869. It's the phone number that's on my website, and my website is Karen Gresham. It's KarenGresham.com. And it tells about all my testimonials and everything I've done, and it tells how to reach me and how to get on my newsletter, and then I do many things, and I've been doing more teaching now than reading. So, and I've been doing a lot more work with people who have crossed over, who've had a loved one since, I would say, March.
Yeah,
So I would, and if I'm in a session, I don't answer the phone, but I check my messages really a lot. So I know some people, if they get a recording, they just hang up, and we want everything like magically right now. But I'm not one who lets them ride. I do check it several times a day.
Absolutely. Well, with that said, Karen, I do thank you so much for being on Soma Fusion Radio with me today.
Well, thank
this
you.
evening.
It's been wonderful and fun and marvelous.
Yeah, you
It's
are
great.
more than welcome to come on again when you have some upcoming events and things that are going on in your world. By all means, you can come on to my show.
Anytime you would like to have me, just email me, and Derek will get it, and he'll set it up.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of things to have, and a lot of things going. We all do, really, right now.
Exactly. And you're, like I said, you're more than welcome to come on my show again. Yeah, by all means. If I don't reach out to you, you can always reach out to me as well.
That's
it's hard to track everybody's events all at once. I know too many people. But that's okay. That's okay. Well, with that said, I'm going to take a break. I wish you good night, Karen, and we hope to see you again sometime in the future on Soma Fusion Radio. And for all you listeners out there that did see a broken feed in terms of the video production over there, I will put something together for Karen's listeners as well, not just mine, so that everybody can see a clean recording here. I do record everything, so just for that, because I think we're having internet issues everywhere. So
and he's my manager, and he'll put everything on my
yes, and I will definitely contact you about that. I'll send you an email with the archive itself once it's completely done. Just allow a little bit of time because it's taking forever at the moment.
Oh, I know. I hear it too.
But that's okay. Well, I wish you good night, and we are going to go to a short break, but after the break, we are going to be talking about the upcoming show on Saturday with Amanda. And with that said, you are listening to Soma Fusion Radio with your host, Katie Kamara, and we'll be right back.
I was driving down the 101, singing California, dreaming at the top of my lungs. Unaware, not a care, and then he appeared. Thought he was running down his window just to say hello, but he started cussing at me, saying I'm going too slow. Then he yelled, go to hell and flip me the bird. That's it, screw the low carbs, where's my KFC? Ain't gonna think about the bills or the DMC. Life is short, live it up, cause we live it once. Oh, is it really that bad, really that bad? I don't think it's really that bad. Come on, get with it. If you only think of things that you haven't got, you can have it all and still never have enough. So don't worry, be happy. If you're trying to make a move but you're stuck in mud, underwater when you don't know which way's up, yeah, don't worry, be happy. Your life is short, we only get to live it once. So live and love and give it all you got. Your life is short, we only live it once. So live it up. Your life is short, we only get to live it once. So live and love and give it all you got. Your life is short, we only live it once. So live it up. Is it really that bad? Yeah, I don't think it's really that bad. If you only think of things that you haven't got, you can have it all and still never have enough. So don't worry, be happy. And if you're trying to make a move but you're stuck in mud, underwater when you don't know which way's up, don't worry, be happy. So don't worry, be There's a rising on the streets tonight. Every woman, man, and child. Through the struggle, we will all unite. Watch the city running wild. 'Cause we've been lied to by the liar. We've been sold, but we can't buy. In our hearts, there's a fire. You can see it in our eyes. We are the revolution. We want it all tonight. We want to take back what's rightfully ours. We are the revolution. We want to stand and fight now for our lives. Written in stars, written in stars. There's a riot on the streets tonight. There's a reason for the cause. It's up to us to remember it. All the ones gone before will all be taken by the taker. Fate that awaits us all. Till the day we meet our maker, we won't be stopped by any walls. We are the revolution. We want it all.
yeah. Yes. We are the revolution. This is Soma Fusion Radio with your host, Katie Kamara. And we are doing the after show right now. Right here, right now. And I would love to bring on my new co-host, Amanda McManus. How are you, Amanda? You there?
Hi, Katie. I'm here. I'm doing great. I'm so excited for our Saturdays, and I can't wait. I hope everybody is ready for a fun-filled night with us.
Exactly. Now, for those who don't know what's going on, Amanda and I are co-hosting a new show called
Goddesses and Devils.
Goddess and Devils. And so we are doing this show for y'all. It'll be on a Saturday night at 7 p.m. Remember, it's mature audiences only.
Wow.
Come on. I don't know how.
Not all that mature.
But no, we invite everybody to bring their glass of wine and their bottle of scotch. So, we're not in blanket mode. I used to say blanket mode because, I went on a 3-month hiatus during the winter, and I was like, okay, well, bring your blankets because it's getting nippy and cold outside. But it's like, now we're just going to grab your glass of wine and undress, It's too freaking
Take
hot.
off your shoes, put up your feet, and enjoy.
Exactly. But what are we going to be talking about this Saturday?
So our show generally is going to be about many topics. Some of them being women, empowerment, spiritual healing, and taboo topics. So this Saturday, we were planning on speaking about a subject that has really caused a lot of controversy, and pretty much that subject is, what can men do that women can't? So it's going to be an interesting topic, and we do invite both male and female listeners. And just to let you guys know ahead of time, and I mean the gentlemen, we will be speaking more towards the women's side of things, and it's not us attacking men, or it's not us saying that men don't do a lot or anything, or discrediting anything that men done in the past, present, or will do in the future. But what it will be doing is pretty much giving a platform for women to be acknowledged for some of the differences we face and still face in present day.
So we're not coming across as sexist or feminist or in any way whatsoever, because as women we can only talk from a woman's point of view. Because I cannot put my feet. There's some areas that I can say a lot of things, but I cannot walk a mile in a man's shoes, because I can only understand how a woman thinks, how she acts, and how she walks. So. With that said, that's why we are having an open discussion, and yeah, of course, it's going to get heated in some points, because there are a lot of differences that men have, and they think they know what women think, and then women think that they know what men think, and of course, therein lies the old age debate. And so the whole point of the show is not to discuss or start any conflict between genders. It's more or less to have an open discussion to break down the barriers of inequality, because people like me and people like Amanda, we believe in equality. We believe that men and women are no different. We just have different abilities and different developmental stages, different rates of maturity, different rates of skill sets. And so we'll be talking about anything and everything. And I mean, we're going to, there'll be shows where we get into the locker room talk, because, that's all a part of life, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's what's going to be fun about this show particularly, because like I said, we're even going to delve into topics like taboo topics, that's a tongue twister, and that we go into things like, sex. Here's a taste of something we would talk about. Women equally enjoy sex just like men. And it is said that we experience it on different levels. So we definitely would touch on things like that as well. We would touch on the fact that can a man and woman equally agree upon that level? Or is there things that a man can do for a woman that a woman can't do for a man? You know, we could talk about that to the point of talking about things like, you know, S&M and other things, cuckolds, different topics in sex where you're bringing in a different partner and you're creating a triad. We're going to be talking about all different topics. And it's not just relevant to one, it's just to give a platform. So pretty much what we're going to do with this show and what our whole goal is, like Katie said, we are promoting equality. We want to offer a platform where our listeners can call in for guidance, fun, and a place where you won't be judged at all. This is a non-judgmental platform. You know, we're doing this so that way we can have fun and break the barriers while we're doing it. And we're going to do a lot of fun things that we'll be announcing in the show. You know, we have a lot of fun things in store. So we start on Saturday, so I hope to see everybody there.
And one little pointer or a lead-in for Saturday, given the topic, in its relevance to our conversation, we had a pre-conversation about the show and what we're going to be talking about. And we were talking about, Amanda, the whole Sex and the City scenario is that, you know, why is it that a man can go and sleep around and he's not really called anything, but when a woman sleeps around, she's called a whore?
Exactly. And see, and that's the thing, you know, a lot of people don't understand that things like swinging and cuckolds and triads and things like that, they're okay. It just is of the mindset of, you know, of pretty much humanity to and people in general, is whether or not we can break those standards. I enjoy sex. I really do. My husband can tell you that. Sometimes it's like, babe, really? I have a high libido. So, I mean, but that doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to drift off to different people. It just means that that's an agreement we have in our relationship. But in other relationships, or even in general, when you're not in a relationship, we see that stereotype that women are pretty much, you know, whores or sluts if they have casual encounters. And, you know, not for nothing, I'm sure a man and woman like to experience different casual encounters of different kinds. So that's one of the topics that we're definitely going to get into, because there's so many ways to enjoy a person. And it could be on a spiritual level, a physical level. I like the physical level and spiritual level, FYI, and on a personal level as well.
Exactly. And of course, that, you know, that's the whole point of experiencing the human experience for what it is, and the relationships in every capacity that is known to man. And that's the whole point of learning, is that, you know, if we haven't learned anything, we really haven't lived. You know,
exactly.
So
exactly. We have to enjoy life, stay positive, love one another, and respect one another. And that doesn't mean you know you have to agree with everybody, but you have to respect their opinions and views, because then we just might learn something if we kind of cut out all that arguing and debating in between. And this is what makes our show, you know, such a great show, because that's what the title stands for, Goddesses and Devils. We all have that capability to be good and to be bad. We want to pretty much put them all together for you.
Exactly. And there is no superiority, there is no patriarchal or matriarchal ladder to climb. Everything is on an equal plane. And for those, you know, I will give you a warning in advance, is that if you do call in and you start an argument that it becomes somewhat irrelevant and more one-sided, then and quite, you know, we're not going to take any nonsense, put it that way. You know, we're going to be unfiltered, completely unfiltered. But what we won't tolerate is people calling in to start a debate because they disagree with what we said, you know, because we want to provide the platform for you to get your voice out there, you know, discuss, but do it in a friendly manner and in educated, nice matter for those who don't understand what education is. But for those who do want to just, you know, learn about different facets of life and relationships and sex and spirituality and everything like that, then obviously, you know, Goddesses and Devils is going to be the show for you. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, of course. It's definitely not. But the whole point of it is to have discuss the biggest taboo topics of all, and that is what's not discussed in schools. It's not discussed in many households because of the prevention of ideologies and belief systems and indoctrination, quote unquote. So Amanda and I are two people that are extremely open to a lot of things, and we talk about pretty much everything. And we're just pretty much going to offer that to you and to all our listeners who want to know, who just want to know more and learn.
Exactly. So please join us on Saturdays, every Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We also are going to post the time frames in different time frames. So if you live in, you know, specific standard time, you can actually call in at 6 p.m., so forth, so on. So we'll make sure we have that up there for you. And we will definitely put the prompt when you guys, you know, feel free to call in. We'll have the number and all that ready to go for you. So feel free to call in. We will also be doing our best to read the comments and answer any questions through the comments. Exactly. So all we ask is that you like, share, and subscribe.
Good thinking. Why did I think of that? I better go do that now.
Right? That's what I got to do, too. So, I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of falling behind on that, too. But I'm going to do that.
Yes. Good thinking.
See?
I'm the radio show host here. I should know this stuff, and yet I'm reminding myself. What the hell?
Hey, you know what it is? Is that we're you know, we need to grab our cup of wines and we just need to have a good time and
yeah,
it all
too.
flow.
That too.
Like we're going to do on Saturdays.
That too, you know. Because, you know, there will be humor. We will be bringing on guests. We will be bringing on guests on the show. And they will be very well-known guests to discuss all sorts of stuff. So, you know, like I said, we're all about breaking down barriers and talking about taboo topics because I believe, 50 years ago, most of this would be in the closet. In the closet, stayed behind closed doors. Topics like that are relevant to today are more openly expressed by the younger generations, not so much the older ones. And so by breaking down the barriers, it allows us to learn so that we're more capable and more ready to have maybe perhaps better relationships, seeking a better life without having to stay in the closet.
Right, and overall, just improving communication across the board, no matter who you are, no matter what gender you are, whether you're non-binary, whether you identify with whatever. We want you to open those doors, open those windows, and be who you are. That is the key. We want to empower everybody. We want you to be who you are and be comfortable with who you are. And we want to give you that space and that platform where you can call in, like I said before, and not be judged and let your opinions be heard. Let your feelings be heard. You know, we both come from a big background in psychology, myself and Katie. And so we like I said, we want to offer that space. And like I said, don't be afraid to call in. And if you feel like, hey, I don't want to use my real name, make up one. That's fine. Make up any type of one. You could be, you know, fur unicorn, and we still address you as fur unicorn. We have no qualms about that. we just want you guys to have fun and relax and enjoy what we bring to the table and what other listeners can bring to the table.
Exactly.
We want to make communication across the board.
And make it fun. Because, I mean, we could, you and I could do an entire show of talking about, I don't know, about the funny things in life. Or the unusual, bizarre things in life. The things that we do to ourselves that is completely taboo and bizarre.
Right.
We could talk about sexual perversions that is completely bizarre, which we don't see as something that is uncommon.
Right,
So-
exactly. And then we could even start, a conversation that deals with mental health, where we speak about sociopaths and psychopaths and ideations and things like that. We can bring it all the way back to, the earlier philosophers that we've seen, like Plato and Socrates. And we could definitely speak about things like that and how their theories paved the way for other theories in philosophy, theology, metaphysics, etc. So we definitely can speak about these topics because they're very important topics.
Yeah.
They really are.
And
But,
I mean,
come on. We can't be too serious all the time. So that's why we're throwing in all that extra fun.
Exactly. And I mean, for me, I like to investigate Freud's controversial theories as well. Absolutely love Freud.
Yeah, me too. I actually, he was considered one of the pioneers of psychology, but then people started believing,
He was seen
in
as a
different theories,
madman.
so they started going away from Freudian beliefs, and they started going towards, like B.F. Skinner, and I can never say his name right, so if I murder his name, please correct me, Katie. Pijat.
I think you said
Did
it
I say it right?
I think you said it right.
Oh, look
okay.
at that.
That's okay.
I got it right. I can never pronounce his name, and, I'm doing a big injustice when I don't pronounce his name right, so I am sorry. But, they discovered the school of behaviorism, and it's just so many wonderful topics that we can touch base on, from a psychology world to the supernatural world to the taboo world. So, I mean, it is, like I said, we want to touch on every topic, and, that word touch, some people just automatically go in the gutter. Well, guess what? I'm right with you sometimes. So it's okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing
And
wrong
that's
with that.
Exactly. And see, that's exactly what you guys, just a little taste what you guys are going to get. We're going to be talking about gutter mind, where it's just like certain words lead you straight to that gutter. And guess what? The most educated, sophisticated people, their minds go to the same gutters ours do. So it's it's going to be fun, fascinating, educational, informative.
Well, it's a bit like the meaning of the word dude. Do you know the meaning of the word dude?
The actual definition, or is it like
real meaning of
because
the word
like
dude?
I know like the noun of dude is to be something to the effect of a man or a guy, which literally goes to gender, and then the verb of it, I believe, is like to dress up elaborately and like to kind of like in masquerade.
I've heard different translations of the word dude. Dude can be a pair of camel balls.
Oh my God, that I never heard of the camel's ball.
In another language, it's a hair on an elephant's butt.
So let me get this straight. So now, if my husband gets me mad, right, I can call him dude and really be calling him either camel balls or the hairy part of a elephant's butt. So I can call him a hairy butt in a sense by just calling him dude when I'm mad at him.
Yeah.
You see, I learn something new every day.
Yeah, because
never knew that. I just know the elaborately
because
dressed,
in
and I
animal
know
terms,
like it refers to a guy. So when
Okay,
I
so-
get mad, sweetheart, I'm gonna start calling you dude for that reason, and you won't even know why unless you're listening.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing: is that the word "dude"? I can go different elements here, just to give you a little taste about breaking down the barriers of what we really say. Dude is actually a slang word. And it was in 1789, a man named Robert Barker first introduced the word dude in the year the Bastille prison fell. And he was an artist, and he used the word dude to describe contraception. Contraception. What am I saying? Describe
look at that.
contraption which he'd sought for a patent 2 years earlier. Okay, so dude actually has a cultural word, but if a guy calls you dude, right, it could mean that he's actually attracted to you and he wants to see your reaction.
Oh, see that. If he called me dude, I'm like, what's up, man? I never knew that.
Yeah. And if your crush calls you a dude, it means that he or she is hiding their feelings.
Okay, so that's kind of like when someone says ditto. It's like they don't want to give you an answer, so they just say ditto because it's like they're either A, afraid to say something that's going to offend you, or B, they don't know what to say, so they just say ditto.
But the dude itself is basically, it was an emerging word back in the 19th century for a well-dressed man. And he's not
Yankee
a jerk.
Doodle went to town.
But it also means
19th century.
But in animal terms, it is another word for camel's balls, camel's penis, a hair on an elephant's butt, or a pimple on a donkey's butt.
You just gave me so many ideas because now when I get mad, like I said, I am going to, like, let's say I'm driving down the street, right? And then depending on the person that, cuts me off or, does something silly, I could be like, dude, just one word, dude. And then I can say it in my, in my own personal mind, you pimple on a donkey's ass. I love it.
So the words that we have that come, it's like twit. Someone calls a twit. Twit is actually a pregnant fish. You know that, right?
You see,
twit
it's
is
funny
a pregnant
because
fish.
Not for nothing,
And
though,
bitch
do we
is
really know
known as a
what we're
as a
saying when we
female.
say it? It brings up that question. Do you actually know what the word's coming out of your mouth?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is that, and using the word bitch is another form. It's not what you and I think of it is, a slang term, but it's actually a female canine. So and that's another thing is that by bringing up these little topics and that, do we really know what we're talking?
That's the point. Yeah, that's why that's the point. You hit on a great point. The point is that that's where discussion lies. This is where we educate each other. This is where opinions are key factors in the conversation. See, I didn't know any of that stuff. I just knew like the generic dictionary words that, anybody can look up. And, I knew that the word dude was implemented in the 19th century song Yankee Doodle. And, I didn't know why it was called a doodle, but now I know it meant a well-dressed man. Here, I thought it was like, something like just somebody called somebody a doodle. Like, I didn't even know what it meant. You know what I mean? I just like, okay, that's what you said. For all this time, we're going with that word and we're using it to as a as a way to call our best friend, or like, hey dude, what are you doing today? And all this time, depending on what we're using it for, we don't even know what we're using it for. We don't even know what we're saying. We don't even know where the origin of these words come from. Because a lot of words come from like Old English. They're they're adopted into, into everybody's lingo in a sense. And that's what's so good about Katie. Katie is actually a professional in linguistics. So it's like, it's like amazing because, like I said, I learned. Let me first say how much I admire Katie. I'm sorry, I don't have to go there. I love Katie very much. She is such an educated woman, and I look to her as a mentor. And these are the reasons why I can learn a lot of different facts from Katie, just like I can learn a lot of different facts from my callers. And it's just amazing because, like I said, do we really know what we're talking about? And apparently, depending on the topic or depending on the conversation, we might not even know what we're even meant to say. So ditto would be a great word put in that place.
Yeah. Well, we'll put it this way. Don't, for all those ladies out there, don't listen to anything I'm saying, and I'm not telling you to go do this, but if next time you call your husbands or your partners the word dude, just remember that you might be calling them a camel's dick.
Oh, I'm definitely going to do that when he gets me mad. I'm definitely going to do that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but you see, it's like, you can't say shit, you can't say damn it, you can't say fuck, you can't say none of that, but you can say dude and get away with it. So I am going to use that word everywhere I go because I can get away with it.
Oh, dear Lord. But no, you can't say, you can't, well, see, here's the thing is that the female equivalent of dude is a dudette or a dudess.
So then if we were a dudette, would we be a camel's vagina then?
No, because there's, no. Because the dude is postulated and to only a camel's dick or foreskin or balls, male genitalia. So we can get called a dudette or a dudess and get away with it too, and it would have no relevance whatsoever.
Damn, I thought that it was the opposite. See that, like certain words are that's the thing with linguistics, especially in Latin. There are ways to describe female objects, male objects, gender, things like that. And I was assuming that because dude is one way of enunciating for the male part of that actual word would be a male, and then dudette would actually be a feminine word, or have a feminine meaning. I was thinking I'd be a vagina.
But I mean, it's still
so yeah,
still at the
I
end
just
of the day.
referred to myself as a camel's vagina then if I was called dudette.
Yeah, but I mean the origin of the word though was still made in the 1800s, was still a term for mockery.
So this whole time in modern day we adopted the word dude as a greeting,
as if it was a term of endearment for mateship.
Right, exactly. This whole time we've
where's
been
my
calling
car?
each other a camel dick. Nice.
Look it up. Go find it. You'll find it. Go Google it.
So now,
like I said, I say it on Soma Fusion Radio. Don't believe anything I was saying because it may not be correct, but by all means you can correct us. But I'd suggest to go do your own research.
So would it be perverted of me to say, "Hey, Katie," and you say what? And then I'm like, "Dude, today's hump day." So is that meaning that because it's like,
oh my
God, I would be, and they refer to it as hump day as using the camel. Now would I refer to it as the camel's dick of the day?
What? We're gonna look into hump day, the origins of hump day. I swear. Because here's me thinking, okay, now hump day, why is it related to camels?
Exactly. So
How is
like
it
now
related
if I put the word dude in front of dude, it's hump day.
Hump Day was
Now is
supposed
it
to be all about the
like is it like
workplace.
camel dick day? Or is it the
No.
day that the camel gets to use his dick to hump? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like seriously.
But here's the thing: is that Hump Day was supposed to be, one has made it over the hump, meaning that's the middle of the work week, right? But now it's completely gone a different direction, and now I'm thinking, okay, well, Hump Day, because it's supposed to be related to a workplace. I'm thinking, hang on, Hump Day, camels. Does that mean we're having orgies at work?
Right? Like, damn, can someone inform me of these things? Like, am I missing something? That's what I was thinking. Because, it's funny because in many ways, if I go to work and I say, to my boss, happy hump day, he'll look at me like, excuse me, that's inappropriate, and I think you need to be written up because now that word hump can be, associated with fornication of some sort. So, we're going to have to write you up today. Or can I go into work and be like, hey, happy hump day to my boss? And he's like, yeah, the week's almost over. We're almost there.
The thing is that why does everything that we say in general have a sexual connotation to it?
Exactly. That, and that's the thing. Our minds will go to the gutter before it goes to a dictionary.
I mean, we all know.
We're not interested in finding, the real word on Google or in the dictionary. We're where the word originated from. We're more we're more inclined to go to the gutter.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. So,
I mean, like I said, being in the gutter is not a bad thing. It's just when and where to be in the gutter is the right thing. Because if you go to work and you're in the gutter, yeah, you probably are either going to be fired, written up, or the mockery at your job. So, I mean, yeah, it's really, that's where that fun topic of interpersonal skills come into play and, industrial and organizational psychology. What is appropriate at work? And that goes into behaviorism. So, the fun thing about everything is life, some way, some form, some shape has some part of psychology in it. And the reason is that, things like anthropology, which is the study of, human culture and things like that, those things came from the very, very, very beginning stages of philosophy, theology, and then we started just breaking off to these different things. And that's like what makes it amazing is that we have all the tools we need to understand these things and associate things, but yet we resort to the gutter first. And I think that's because that's the fun way to do things. Everybody, it's like, all work and no play. Well, a lot of people rather play than work. So it's kind of like that balance,
And that's the whole reason why we did a promotional after the show.
Exactly. It is going to be interesting, spicy, fun, educational, all of the above. Depending on the topic, it's going to end up either, like I said, being funny. We are trying to avoid the word of seriousness. We do not want to be monotoned. We do not want to be slapping anybody on the wrist or anything like that. We just want to be free to discuss things equally.
And openly.
Yes, and openly. No gutter, just open.
And I'm pretty sure that our minds will probably drift to the gutter because that's where we innately go anyway. So,
So
which brings me
that hyphen and all that gutter. No, we meant openly, like
Oh, we know. I know, but
in a nicer way.
I'm saying that in reference to the topic on Saturday night, which is why I want you guys to all listen in. Because even though we innately go to the gutter, all the time because of whatever perception that we have. Again, it goes back to the subject that we're going to be talking about on Saturday, which is what can a woman do that a man thinks that she cannot do?
Exactly.
Simple said.
So you guys are just going to have to tune in on Saturday to see where this topic is going to, and this discussion is going to lead us.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be on for a few hours. It's all good.
Oh yeah, we got all once
night.
We get together, forget it. Forget it. We we can have so much to talk about, and 2 hours will fly by. 3 hours will fly by. Hell, it could be 20 hours, and we still can have topics to discuss and branch off of one main. So it's kind of like, this is the whole thing with topics. We have a tree, and then those branches are where we can go. And it's limitless because those branches, they go into little smaller limbs, and then they go into flowers or leaves. So, look, we're going to go everywhere.
So don't come on the show thinking you're going to hit on me.
Listen, I already told you that you're my wife, and that's that.
Because there'll be plenty of guys and gals that will want to do that. They really
So Katie's mine.
Just because
so you guys know, I claimed her.
Yeah, just because. Yeah, well, I know, but just because we're having an open discussion about taboo topics, it doesn't mean that you can just ring up and join the topic in order to try and hit on us too. That's a big no. This is a radio show, so please be respectful.
Exactly. Like we said in the beginning, we will not tolerate any form of bullying, harassment, disrespectful mannerisms. We will not tolerate that. It's for, like I said, everybody's purpose that we are setting this standard and rules that we expect everybody to follow. It is to make the show exactly the way it should be.
Just a little house rules there. Just a little.
Yes. Listen, everything has rules. And if it didn't have rules, we have chaos. And that is something that our show is not about. We are about, like I said, the positive. We want to stay positive.
Exactly. Well, with that said, I will finish up my show for all of those. So please do tune in to Somafusion Radio. Next week we'll have our guest on. I will tell you who that's going to be, and that person will be, if I remember correctly, I'll tell you in about 2 seconds. But that person will be, I wish I had my calendar out. I'm so unorganized today, I swear. We'll have Marty Ocean Eagle, I think his name is, and we'll be talking about the matrix of the soul. That's a really good topic too. And he will be calling. He actually lives in California, but he will be in Cyprus. So he'll be making a special call to us or to the show for this show. So he's currently on vacation. So he'll be spending a little bit of time with us on his vacation. I don't know why he did that, but anyway, he will be spending a little bit of time with us. But so Marty Ocean Eagle will be on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, as usual. For anybody out there that wants to become a guest on my show, by all means, you can email me at somafusionmedia@gmail.com. You can find me on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what are the other places? YouTube, which is Somafusion, Mind, Body, and Soul. It's not hard to find me. Or you can go into my academy at soma-fusion.com. Go and get the app, join the challenges, come and do some of my courses, where you can join the community of students that are willing and open to learning, all about personal development. On top of that, this show, next year, I will also be releasing a dating app, for somafusion dating app. I will also be doing a hell of a lot of other stuff. I am proud to announce, too, that Amanda is also my business partner, and she'll be also the face of somafusion. So congratulations, Amanda.
Thank you. And like I said, you know what? I really, really appreciate you, and I respect you, and you definitely are my mentor, so I am so super excited. So thank you for the opportunity.
Exactly.
And the opportunities. So I have to say that,
you're very, very welcome.
With the ease at the end.
So as a grateful student over there, I love you to death.
I love you too.
It's all good. I am humbly going to be saying good night to you all, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. But please do tune in on Saturday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Goddess and Devils. And we'll be talking all sorts of stuff. You'll love it. I promise you'll love it. Just make sure that you go to the liquor store and have a glass of wine on us. Just don't be stupid about it. Because we've got to drink in moderation. Huh. Anywho, with that said, I wish you all good night. Amanda, if you want to say good night, it's up to you.
Everyone, thank you. And Katie, again, thank you. And I appreciate you having me come on Soma. And I appreciate the fact that we will be having a long partnership. I love you for that. Thank you. And I hope to each and every one of you listeners that you guys walk in the path of love and light. And good night, everyone.
With that said, good night.